Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Team Fortress TV. The season isn't over, thankfully. You might have expected it had been after the Prem playoffs last week, but we've got some more for you. It's the Division 1 playoffs this weekend, and we're starting off with the teams at the bottom, the teams that have the longest mountain to climb in the lower bracket semi-final. We're starting off Alien Workshop against the Bus Crew. I'm Dave with JMax behind the camera and DumTum alongside me. How are you doing, DumTum?
Pretty good. Yeah, it should be exciting. Div 1, I guess, just been decided by admins the last 3 seasons. It's going to be happening a week after the Premiership Grand Finals, which does have the benefit there's definitely time. We have everything lined up to watch these and not everything conflicts with each other. Plenty of time now to watch Division 1, see who's making it out alive into the first place position everyone wants to have. And it was very highly contested in Div 1. It's been a really competitive season, and strangely enough, despite that, it all came down in the end to a default win for the final slot into playoffs, which does mean Alien Workshop, Bus Crew got a little bit lucky in some ways maybe at the end, didn't have to play the final game. Not to say they couldn't have won that, and weren't bad by any means, but if they caught the break there at the end, and now they're really getting tested.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I haven't watched, I don't think any of Division 1 this season.
You're missing out.
I'm fairly familiar with most of the players, both here tonight and later on as well. We have hopefully the upper bracket coming later tonight, and then it'll be the lower bracket final and the grand final tomorrow at similar times, 17 and 21. So a lot of action to look forward to here on TFTV. But starting off, I mean, these are the 3rd and 4th place teams. These are the lower seed. As I say, they have 3 games to win if they want to take this Division 1 title and get themselves a guaranteed spot in Premiership next season. Do you think either of these two sides, I mean, they did play week 5, they tied 3-3. Is it likely to be super close this game as well?
Always impossible to tell with maps, because I've only seen so many maps of these guys as well, but for the most part, it's very believable. Alien Workshop has been really close with a lot of people, have notably, I think in the whole season, only won 2 games 6-0. There was a tie, 2-5-1 losses actually, 4-2 win. I guess it's just a tie in a more complicated matter if you really think about it. It's been close calls all around, a little bit more min-maxed on the side of the Bus Crew, who had half the scorelines be 6-0 one way or another, so they were confidently better than some, but not others, except for Alien Workshop, who, as we said, tied against them just a few weeks ago as well. Makes things a little bit complicated now. Bus Crew with minor roster changes, well, I believe changed his soldier position and played 1 game with the demo man playing scout as well, admittedly. Not the case today, I would imagine. I don't see Dr. Phil on the server, so they're not going to have the demo sub step in last second to save the day. It's going to be an interesting one. Alien Workshop, like I said, had a lot of close calls. I've been liking them, the choke artists of the season. It's not been that bad. Clearly, they still were good enough to make playoffs, but there was a lot of games where things just kind of were falling apart a bit by the end, just a bit too much. And it's been some rough finishes here and there. I mean, they got points of first place, couldn't take the win in the end, even though it was really close. So in some ways, I want to give them the edge. The good performances have impressed me a little bit more than from the Bus Crew, but the Bus Crew had a couple of highlights in the season. I liked a lot of the stuff they tried in the last animates as well, where they're trying the thing that you see the top teams do a lot, where it's just like run people in from all directions and just make it really uncomfortable, even on maps so it's hard, like Snakewater, like Process, for example, as well. If that works today, it's going to be huge for them, but surely Alien Workshop has prepared for this one. They have to happen. They have so much time now to figure things out, and they even played the land qualifier to get some extra practice in as well.
Yeah, we are starting off on Snakewater, and then we move over to, is it Bagel and then Process? Those are the 3 maps, and Snakewater, they did play in that week 5, was it week 7 game it might have been actually, and it was 5-1. Did you catch that, DumTum?
Their game
5-1 to Alien.
You mean the game that they
week 6, sorry.
Oh, no, week 6 game, okay.
So I mean,
yeah. Sorry, I was confused for a second. You said 5-1.
No, I didn't want to throw that at you, but
no. Yeah, it was like a fairly slow Snakewater for the most part kind of deal. I mean, it happens, right? It's Snakewater, so you just get into those situations where sometimes things don't happen for a couple of minutes each, and then suddenly someone actually gets momentum from a mid-fight. But they managed to take care of it either way pretty nicely. I think the more interesting storyline in Gully Wash that night, with a 4-5 scoreline, just clutched out in like 29 minutes or something like this. Oh, actually not even that, 25 minutes. Like well ahead of schedule, actually. Really fast-paced game. So if we see some of that, even on other maps, then a Gully Wash and will be in for one hell of a match. I think the average round timer was like 2 minutes, and that's mostly because there was a 6-minute round surrounded by 1.5s. So these teams know how to convert advantage into last if given the chance. You just gotta get there. In Snakewater mid-fights, you can play them really slow, you can play really passive here. I mean, getting the flank options going is a little bit harder than on some other maps where you can much easier rotate around one another. It's gonna make it a lot more reliant on getting these soldiers involved in matter that actually works out for them here. So lots of eyes on those 4 individuals, primarily I would imagine Shades, Phoenix, Nico, and Sia, the ones that really have to lead the charge on the middles, get the momentum going. All had pretty good seasons overall, of course, otherwise they wouldn't have made it this far, but this is where you just need to outrun your opponents, right? It's not going to get any easier from here against the top 2 waiting for them. And yeah, still waiting. I think later tonight as well we'll see Bagel against Trust the Process. Trust the Process, of course, lots of individuals we've seen around the periphery of Prem before. Your standard, ALX roster of the past that decade, basically. Bagel for some people as well. When Prem qualified, the team that didn't make it in the end, they went into that one, I think, fairly optimistically, just wanting to see where they're standing. They put up a good fight. They got a map of, I believe, Wheelchair. Didn't win that game in the end, but it was close. And clearly, if they're close to that already, then the performance in Div 1 shouldn't be surprising. Lost 2 maps total and got forced into 2 golden caps, including by Alien Workshop. So they've been a step ahead, but like barely. This entire season, I have talked to one of them. They're like surprised that how much they're yelling at each other. Apparently, they're actually winning so many maps, but it's been working. So sometimes tough love is all you need.
Yeah, those guys for sure. They've been grinding the game the last few seasons. I think they've been playing. Most of them have been playing together in both Sixes and Highlander for like the last 4 or 5 seasons. Or, almost over the last year, and I guess that gives you cohesion and. That has been enough because I think the quality of the players between all the teams in this Division 1 kind of lineup is fairly close. I think probably we've got Vanu playing tonight, who is sort of a standout, potentially a carry, playing on his main class of Scout. Beyond that, there's not as much in terms of like former Prem stacking. I guess some of the Geordie team has a lot of former Prem players, but a lot of quality and a lot of experience among a lot of these teams, and I think it's probably like to be close throughout all this weekend, but especially here in this first game tonight.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how Cristiano Ronaldo goalkeeper, aka Phoenix and Soldier, will do tonight. They've been giving him a lot of crap for his ability to pencil jump sometimes, but he's been making it work with the team, and certainly having a good soldier to play with in this form of Kazuki tonight will help out a lot as well. And unlike the LAN qualifier, this time around they'll have Tavi back on the roster. They had to shuffle around a bit. I think it was Phoenix Demo Man that night actually, which wasn't half bad for what it's worth, but this is the lineup they actually want to be playing with online. It's been working quite nicely so far. They can avoid the choke that would go quite some distance, but Basku had a just pretty solid end to the season. Started with some losses, but now we're here back on top of things, took it home into playoffs, but there's still a lot further to go. If they want to make it all the way, the losers run 2 grand finals, this needs to be the first step.
Yeah, we're going to see Alien Workshop starting off in the blue, the bus crew starting off in the red, coming to this first Snakewater mid-fight. You'll see Lek immediately just fire some long-range stickies over the point. Both teams are both just curling up in their own corners. Big bomb coming in now from the soldiers, Kazuki and Phoenix launching themselves in. They're cleaned up pretty quickly at the moment and didn't get too much damage down. Lek was taken out, Sears down as well, but it looks like the extra player here for the bus crew is going to allow them to at least cap off this mid-fight. You can see Alien Workshop were smart, they were aware of the situation, they were aware they're playing disadvantage, so they're going to go back to second and build up the Ubers, make sure they have this Uber on Lucky to block second, but already Redder moving in here.
Taking space right away, looking good so far. And still some resistance here. It's not like they can't fight back at all. You want to be careful with how much you're committing right now to not get your own Uber force early. Ooh, and an attempt to get Uber out early on the other side as well cost them some players. Both soldiers going down very ahead of time. Does still get the Uber out first, but I don't know if they have numbers for this in the end. Lucky running, but can't escape. Sia finds the last rocket that eventually caves in, pops the Uber, but at this point they lost numbers and space. And how do you fight back against that bus crew? Being more trigger happy on the Uber actually worked out quite nicely here, but every time you try to desperately hold but still have to cave in the end, it's gonna end real badly for you, and they're not giving up this yet. Spawns are coming, that's 6v6 again, but they're getting all the way to point before that comes to play. Lots and lots of cap time. Heavy immediately taken down, and then just this stare down right now, that's huge, shouldn't have to worry about that. Bombs across point, Nico Sia pumping in so much damage towards the cap. And really nice awareness by the boss, who had the small opening to get in before the spawns and made that space count, melted the Heavy. Beautiful stuff. Like I said, once they get given a good opportunity last, they're not letting it go.
Yeah, on both second and last there, it was a case of the bus crew taking as much space as they could. And the Alien Workshop, they were punishing them with damage, but the focus fire wasn't there. They weren't finishing off frags. And on both of those points, it ended up a really good situation with the bus crew securing early frags, and now they have a round.
Yeah, once again back to mid. Last time, not a super explosive one, but a win for the bus crew nonetheless. It seems that Mount Back somehow having weak for quite a while, but still light either way. Bombs across the high ground, seems to take any space on blue, trying to control the upper area. Whatever it's worth, find an opening on the medic as well. Try and see if that goes right, and it will most certainly. Matt going down, Snipe for lucky at the end as well. Still give up space here, but probably a lot more confident than last time, having the Matt all the way to sack, and bombs are coming out and want this kill. They need this kill, and they're gonna get it once again. The Red Soldiers coming up clutch.
Oh, 13 health on triple against Nico on 8. Surely, yeah. Nico's actually going to shoot the planks of wood there and kill himself at the end of the day. Unfortunate, difficult situation. You know, you've got to hit one more splash onto that scout. Wasn't quite able to take it down, and it is going to be quite an important mid-fight victory for Alien Workshop. Going to allow them at least some control of the map, some control of the pace of the game. It's going to be quite a large Uber advantage here for Unforgiven, both meds spawning up on the minigun. So it's going to be a good, actually 40% they've been able to build up to, so they're going to be moving into mid, looking to bust pretty quickly, I imagine.
Yeah. Also, I guess lore updates, and people are wondering, like a few seasons ago, I think Prem-only watchers might remember the Basco scores as his like team, Jon Martin, and like in Premiership. A couple seasons ago, Jon basically gave Leg the blessing to take over the team, and ever since that's been the situation over there for a couple seasons in Div 1 now. And you know, the roster iterated a couple times since then. It's been not really quite the same as this one, but been trying to make it work. First few seasons started a bit rough, but clearly it's been getting better now, and this one's been going some places, put their faith into, I think, Sia moving up from Div 2. Nico might have played him on Pro High at least, I don't remember, but first time I remember him being up this high this recently anyway. Same with Osvaldo actually, a lot of people moving up actually, and then Barnuov's course, we've seen him from before. So it's like kind of the long story there for the Basque coming into this one, but surprisingly, as you mentioned, the had advantage, let it go, but still get rewarded with play out anyway. We're playing of this now, trying to get in here, bombs across, not finding it much though, and that attempt will probably just fall short pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was 16 seconds of Uber advantage, the S3 stats tell me, so the bus crew living up to their name so far and parking the bus with this 1-0 lead. Kazuki's in high, is quite low actually, but does get one rocket down onto Unforgiven. Isn't going to be followed up by anything, just, you know, single soldier sacking, just single soldier sack, back and forth for a few phases of play. Another soldier coming in now. This one is Phoenix, he misses the air shot onto Unforgiven, but Unforgiven pops anyway there. That is questionable, because that he definitely wouldn't have been able to save himself had that rocket hit, but I don't know, I guess he just wasn't sure if there's any more damage coming into him, but either way he's forced out, and now Lucky has the Uber advantage.
There we go, Unforgiven will cave eventually. Let's see if this will work out as well for them now with the advantage. You gotta convert these, right? This is exactly where you need to strike. Already have the gun up as well, so there's not even 6 on second anymore, but you still gotta watch out for exactly the 2 soldiers primarily coming in hot with some damage. Can't find success just yet. I think that's all they're gonna have now. Little sticky traps. Still lurking in the lower area, but surely they're not gonna fall for that.
Oh, not quite. They see it blow just in front of them just before they walking through that lower door. So they're going to come in through the top right. It's Wild Piggy and Tavi. Tavi's actually blasted back quite far. Now he launches himself back in, but is immediately taken out. A nice spot by Nico. Now Nico's landing on top of Lucky as well. It's a complete failure for Alien Workshop. Just going to try and make one more salvage into what's Unforgiven, but there we go. They fully wipe on an uber advantage push without getting a single frag of their own.
Not a good look at all for them, and this could and probably will just swing around the complete other side. And all they have is triple on the sniper, seeing if they can defend this whatsoever. But little more than surprise factor is not happening right now, and they might already be aware of that. Peaks now, doesn't get more than 150 on the soldier, that's not going to be good enough. Forced off the sniper class eventually as well, locking down that door. Space taken all the way on mid, looks good in theory. In practice, still taking a lot of damage as the soldier just dying out of nowhere already. And maybe that slows things down a bit, but you gotta convert with disadvantage, right?
Yeah, they're still moving, just one man down. Big bomb coming in from Phoenix. He lands on top of Lek. Oh, it's a drop as well. Gets perfect rocket into Lek and Unforgiven. It's enough to drop the medic, and now surely Alien Workshop can rebound. They've found Barney, they've found Osvaldo as well, and are looking to move forward here. Sia is up on the spawn, the only spawn they have to worry about. Looking to go in for one kind of sneaky play to maybe get the force or counter drop onto Lucky, but he's spotted so quickly. Kazuki takes him out. They're already capping up mid, and they're already looking to go forward with a full advantage.
Yeah, not bad. First few minutes for Alien Workshop on their own map pick, not looking too great of course, just fading the last push, but they're remaining in control at least. Not giving up position much at all, keep mid and all the way to second. It's going to be advantage into last once more. Plenty time to set something up. We see the engineer, we see the sniper. They're going to be prepared for the last push, but gotta take your chances either way against this one. Peeking from low already. Uber comes in soon after. There we go. Damage across. See if they can take space. A little bit of capture, but with the snipe coming through, that's the scout missing that can get any more.
Kind of struggling to get too much position here. Alien Workshop, they're getting pushed back as well. The health, though, on the bus crew is not very high as well. Unforgiven's trying to hit. Desperate Hours gets one onto Lek as well. It's nice and healthy as well. Chases down Tavi, triple out of the fight as well now with 4 picks, 4 players down from Alien Workshop. The bus crew looking to plough forward, and they themselves now in this very back and forth game have that uber advantage back, and will be, assuming this time they'll be looking to ultimate at least.
Yeah, not looking good on last at all here. Let's see if the Bascu can bring this back and keep the conversion rate near 100%, I suppose, with what we've seen before. A little bit of resistance here. Soto sneaks behind, actually, for the time being. Rest of the team still back into this. Don't have, just rely on the Soto behind, maybe getting them enough time wasted while Phoenix goes down fairly quickly, trying to back up there. Doesn't do a whole lot in the end, and that's just going to be all they really have to say about the matter. Back it goes for the blue team. Bascu full steam ahead. I mean, Uber's running out, but still play ahead, and we've seen them do much with very little before. Do take a lot of damage, but also getting all the way in behind with this one on the actual charge itself. But what now? Uber forced out on the other side, but you still have to run out sooner. Uber just does not last as long. Medic gets away with it. Unforgiven just took a 2 off the second point. In the end, all we're trading out is a soldier for the medic. Wait a second, never mind. All eyes on the medic leaving late, and they're just sending one more guy in to get that damage on the medic, completely distracted by Unforgiven just walking away from him.
Yeah, Vardy just sneaked himself in through a body of players, but it hasn't really stopped Alien Workshop here. They're looking to go forward. They have the picks. They have to worry about, the fact Unforgiven does have that heal advantage up, but there's just so many extra combat classes. They've been able to take mid for it. They're looking to pressure at least in towards second. The heals are back up, the buffs are back up for the bus crew, and they're going to have an Uber shortly. But it is just settling down for a minute. Everyone from Alien Workshop is backing up, getting their own buffs to counter up this fight, knowing they're going to have to deal with an Uber advantage, and we'll see if the bus crew want to push this one or not.
I mean, you gotta take your chances, right? 1-0 lead is cool and all, and, the opponents have even a couple of chances so far, but you can't really just think with how the game has been going so far, just be too content with the lead just yet this early. Get mid at least, but I don't know, we've seen them try very ambitiously with arguably less than this just a second ago into the second point before. Makes it more surprising that it looks like they're just kind of settling, but yeah, peaking really late now. I don't know if the time is still there to really make much happen. Kind of just had to leave one on second on mid and just run with the Uber into the second point already. Might still be a sack out of this one, but no one's really getting anywhere. There we go. Finally a bomb comes through, looking for the Asher. We're not finding it. Unfortunate, but maybe the double bomb will do as well. See it coming in on round 2 on the medic, and they didn't expect it.
Yeah, unfortunate for Lucky there. kind of had to pop if that soldier was called, but either way wasn't quick enough on the right click. And now Wild Piggy's looking to run in, gets a lot of damage down onto Unforgiven. A nice bomb from Kazuki. It's going to land straight on top of him, force him out. He's actually going to be able to go in behind as well through all of this. Not for long, 2 soldiers have spawned up. Nico was able to take him out with the help of Sia, and looks like the bus crew are moving, rolling, getting their vehicle onto second. They might even be able to push the last, because they briefly had 3 picks as well. They're already moving in.
Yeah, getting cap time on last already. Not a whole lot of it, but force people to contest. The heavy once again has volley block early, makes themselves an easy target, triple down right away. Big damage for the rest of them on top of that, but Devilman in the meantime was stuck reloading and couldn't help deal with damage on the point much at all. The rest of the team kind of just to their own devices. At the very least, we're getting the medkit out of this one, but with Unforgiven running out of this nice and alive. Might be fine. Phoenix with an attempt to chase there, but there's gonna be spawners now as well. I think the chase is officially over, and while it hasn't worked, we're getting ourselves once again second chances.
Yeah, I wonder if they spotted Unforgiven leaving Saw there, or if they have that nagging feeling in the back of their mind, has he just dropped down lower for the backup? Either way, it spawns up, and actually Unforgiven gets run down by Wild Piggy, hiding in towards the grass area now. There's still not too many players on either side. Vanu and Nico are both very low for the bus crew, but Wild Piggy is still creating chaos up to a 5k now, killing off Vanu, who was trying to escape with a small amount of health. Tavi looking now to move in through the Saw. Nico pushed back and is very, very unhealthy himself. And here we go, Alien Workshop have got themselves a little bit of a situation going again. An Uber advantage. Cap time on mid as well. It's a little bit dicey if there was a commit for bus crew. The spawners are only just here for Alien Workshop, but they have just about been able to squeak through that, and now they themselves will be looking to push off what is quite a small advantage here.
Alright, still a tricky trap in the corner, no one's really looking for it, but that includes Zach as well. Luckily didn't realize they're all standing on top of that thing. Gets through the short point quite nicely already, but that does only half the job right now. Gonna still make use of the space you're given. Soldiers peeking forward quite a bit, getting some good damage, but eating even more themselves. One of them can't make it back out. Phoenix back alive at least. Sounds good in theory, but Piggy tries to make up for that in the meantime, and once again, the rest of the team just really far back, healing each other up. Not supporting that whatsoever, and it's just 2 people going in for very little returns in the end. Suddenly the basket just once again on the move, gets to mid right away, and with only 3 alive, not really too content to play into this one. It's the universe where you exchange and hope for the respawns to come up in time, but you probably have to flash enough where that wouldn't work out either. We'll just give up the midpoint. Might give up something on second as well. The basket is looking to peek aggressively right away. Players are back now, but they're trying anyway. Might as well hope for the Met Force, and there we go. They find it right away.
Yeah, committed 2 soldiers for that force, but Nico's actually got himself out of there. Now they've smuggled themselves into a great position here. The bus crew, they can just bunker up on grass, and already looking to move forward. They've already dealt with Triple and Kazuki, both of them in the respawn queue for 10 seconds now. Cap time already coming in, and bus crew will, I don't know, I guess they're just going to settle down for a little bit, get themselves buffed up, do a full last push. It does mean there is time here for Alien Workshop to set up some off classes. They've got Wild Piggy up on the heavy, but at least everyone's going to be ready for this 6-man push.
Yeah, in from the main entrance right away. Get in, get some good damage. Get 2 of that already. Take all of that side to at that moment maybe, but they have so much map control now, so I can just force out cap time, force people's hands onto the point, get damage across while they're doing it, let the bombs across while they're trying to block, and look at that. The moment anyone moves that, just barely a step off the point, they were just all in on that, just feeding on the opportunity and get rewarded for it nicely. 2-0 for the bus crew. I mean, the blue team had their chances, but they've just been choking on the line 3 times now on good advantages. And the basket is just more consistent on the finishers. They get to these positions that are winnable, and they're not letting them go.
Yeah, and importantly, there wasn't time to get up a sentry gun or an engineer. There was always that threat of that the bus crew could push at any time, and eventually they took their chance and look a lot more clinical than their opponents thus far. But we're on to another mid-fight. Regardless, both teams, again, fairly passive on the mid-fight. Looking to pressure a little bit over the top, but now Phoenix and Kazuki are both going to go in. They're going to try and tag team Sia, but Sia's actually going to win that 1v1 against Kazuki as his soldier counterpart kind of just leaves him in the dust. Does get himself back out there, recycle in for another bomb now, but he just gets destroyed by CS here, really popping off on this mid-fight, and that is going to be mid-fight over. Wild Piggy, Lucky Tavi, all out of their Alien Workshop. I'm going to have to give up this space, and with over half of the map time elapsed already now, it is looking rough for Alien Workshop.
Yeah, it looks like the map pick might be betraying them a little bit. Basku looks pretty solid so far. Once again, taking early space on grass with just a bit of spawner time advantage they have right now. Before the guys are up, they're already threatening a lot of position just now, but it looks like they can't find what they want. Nico doesn't get a good bomb going. Do have to use fairly early as well. At least they get the force out as well, but what's the plan from here? One down each. Still haven't gotten deep as well. It looks like they are just wanting to get out. Slightly worse than and gotta just make sure Unforgiven gets out alive. At least we've seen twice now that they know well ahead of time when to leave in these situations. Doesn't make this much better, but certainly also not any worse, right? It ends pretty much as it started. Both teams just sitting on their respective parts of the map, building another Uber for yet another chance to break this one in the next time.
Yeah, they couldn't really chase there, and wasn't a great position for the bus crew to Uber from by any means, but at least they get the force out quickly. They get all of their players out to mid as well, so they make it work. They have that 8 second zone vulnerability. It allows them freedom to play a little bit more risky than you otherwise would, and they do get themselves safely out to mid, and we're back into a stalemate. And to be honest, I'd be very, very happy with this situation. 2-0 lead, mid control. They can control the pace of the game. They can decide whether they're sacking, whether they're off class, and it's much more difficult to do that from Alien Workshop's position on second. So they are still looking to press AC. They are still pushing in through lower here, but they're probably not going to take too many risks overall.
Alright, big bomb coming through, trying to deny them space, not getting much of it on blue. There we go, finally clean one up, but Lucky's so weak in retail, they gotta be really careful. Might have damaged them from one of these, but gotta make sure to not get caught by the other. Osvaldo taken down, however, ends this attempt once and for. Basku a lot less committed than the last few times we've seen him try to make something happen from grass. Just the blue side now, plenty chance, Alien Workshop in at once here. Big damage already by Phoenix in the backline, but they're not looking for him whatsoever. However, despite that, it might be going a little wrong anyway.
Yeah, both the soldiers Sears now gonna land on top of Tavi, take him out. We've seen Nico back in that action as well. Lives throughout all of it, and again, Alien Workshop are gonna wipe. It's not a good scenario. They needed a more conclusive push, and they just didn't track those soldiers at all. Lucky getting punished, and now very, very rough situation. The good news for them is they can at least stabilize on last. Unforgiven is going to be a while. He got quite a late spawn, so he's basically actually a slight advantage here for Lucky. It's going to be difficult for anyone to push out from last, particularly this Alien Workshop team that we've seen. So looks like we're going to look to a Vanu spy to break things open.
Yeah, I mean, Vanu will tell you they're insane on anything ever, basically, so including the spy. Ignoring the fact that the best spy on the server is currently on Medic, but that aside, with that confidence, surely this has got to work, right? If nothing else, you're not going to second guess yourself. Surely you have this cut out for you right away. That's sad, best by checking. So honestly, this chance is getting worse and worse by the second. However, it doesn't look like we're going for the medic. We might just be going for engineer and gun. I mean, if you get both, it's brilliant. If you just get the gun, that might still be fine, though. Just get that sap going, get some bombs in the meantime. Like I said, the Basku likes throwing a lot into the last bomb. The last few times I've seen him here as well, even if it's difficult. You gotta try anyway. Get one bomb tonight already. Still, double down on this one. Try to get to this medic no matter what. Not quite finding that man, however. Lucky holds on to the Ubercharge in the face of, well, it was a 4-man sack technically, but one didn't even get in. 3-man sack, not quite cutting it, and with no good results, it looks like the second point will also be lost. Sometimes you risk it all and it does not work out.
And that exact play shows you the value of the dispenser even in the 6v6. Lucky was able to hide in a dispenser there that had been set up for him. You know, a lesser engineer, a lesser accomplished player wouldn't have done it. But here we go, it's going to be a trade on mid regardless. And you can already see the Busku boys are looking to sweep in behind Vanu and Sia all in the back lines. But that's going to leave a 4v6 on this mid cap. But the cap is coming in so quickly in on second. I don't think anyone's there to block it. Sia's already going to last. Vanu's capped up the second time. Sia's standing on last. No one anywhere near the block. Wild Piggy running in vain. And there we go. A quick backup and now a 3-0 scoreline.
Well, if anyone was curious why you don't see Spy much in competitive, it's because Scout is just fast enough to get behind and back up anyway. And if you have someone backing you up as well, it's just over in no time if they're not immediately seeing it happen, and they don't have to be invisible to sneak past them sometimes. Brilliant stuff there, just saw an opening. Abused it perfectly, 3-0 lead. Time is running out for Alien Workshop to bring this one back. This mid-fight has to be a big comeback, but they just have not been looking like it so far. Something needs to change in very little time, or it is already over. What's it gonna be on this mid-fight? It's so decisive. If they don't get this one now, there's just barely time to bring anything back from this point forward, but we're not seeing a very explosive mid-fight. In fact, it's a blue team taking initiative first. Phoenix once again going high and behind, trying to get the double man across. Whipped it in the meantime, leaves the medic weak for a while, but the cleanup not coming in hot either. The red team just sits back, relaxes, lets the other team aggress first, and it's working out brilliantly so far.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been super clean mid-fight victories by the bus crew, but it looks like they have this one plan, which is just sit back, wait for those soldiers to bomb, and it's mostly working out for them. It's worked out for them. Again, once more, they're looking to move in. Unforgiven's going to milk and milk and milk like a milkman. It's going to survive for so long. It's only still over 100 health here and isn't actually going to have to pop whatsoever. Triple is maybe caught out, so just about sneaks out of there. But they're going to have to worry about the bus crew with their 100% Uber ready to blast.
Yeah, if they take this one now, there's so little time for the comeback. It's time to clutch something on the blue end, but it's looking rough right now, already taking space. Everyone's going deep right away. Do you see early, unfortunately? But Diva can salvage a lot of this if they just hit their shots. That's a big hit right now. Things are dying very slowly, but that might just be enough as we're putting our way to the point. They have to come in involved eventually. We can't sit back, fight from Diva forever, and it shows. Everyone's blown up at the end on the point itself. And with less than 8 minutes left to go, with less than 2 minutes for each round to even tie this into overtime, Tusk is sitting in the prime position to take this from here.
I think with it being 4-0 and you know how that last push went, we can take a minute just to laugh at how much Sia got absolutely annihilated by Tammy there.
And sometimes it doesn't even matter.
It didn't matter at the end of the day, but it was funny regardless.
Alright, back to the mid fight. They need something to change this one. The medpick has utterly betrayed them so far. And if they don't take initiative now, there's just no time for anything later. They need to win these mid fights. They are probably a little bit afraid of being the ones first to crash right now, because it just hasn't been working so far. Basque's defenses on the mid fight look really good, but you can't expect to get the big swing mid fight from just sitting back against a team that's happily playing slow as well. Someone needs to make a move eventually. We see the high bombs coming through, trying to get some good damage, but this is going to come down to the Uber charge coming in. Unforgiven actually gets after them, but just in time to still save some nicely, but not enough actually. Everyone sniped ahead of him on the beam. And one single Vanu can't really make up for all that being lost already. They pushed that off like 2% difference, and it surprisingly worked out pretty nicely.
Yeah, interesting idea. Just, you know, the soldier bombs hadn't been working out, so just wait for that. It would make sure they were building optimally as well. And yeah, you say Unforgiven was able to save some lives. He was able to save two his own and his scout Vanu as well, but now Phoenix is in behind. They've probably heard him bomb. They're not looking for him though. He's got one rocket down onto Unforgiven. He's gonna be for second. Unforgiven lives just about enough. That third rocket was just in the perfect timing for him to live with his health recovery, and then he's able to drop down onto that health pack. And now with those picks, they're looking to move into mid.
Maybe this can rein this one back into their favor once and for all. A few kills still running out late, but Lucky will not have to use any of this, luckily. Gets away with it just barely. One last-ditch effort will finally change that fact. Basque were losing the fight a little bit, but getting out of this one, maybe not with mid-control, but certainly with advantage to swing things back around fairly shortly. The Basque in such a good position. Alien Workshop needs to find something against this one, trying to get some early damage here while they're falling back, maybe trying to force it right away before the spawns come in. Lets you sneak in pretty easily. Phoenix gets some good damage on the flank. Tavi up front with one more as well. The Mets completely surrounded. They need to pop eventually. Didn't want to give up the second point, but they're getting punished for even thinking about contesting any longer. Gets the blue side into a pretty good position, but this round has to end right here, right now, or time is just running out on them.
Yeah, I don't know if they even have enough time to build up this Uber. We're going to see Phoenix go in towards the point. He's going to get rid of the medic Unforgiven as well. Suddenly there's extra frags here for Alien Workshop. They're going to try and stand on the point as Valdo and Vanu. The two scouts running in, but both of them just eat some rockets. And eventually Alien are able to clean it up. And are we in for the most ultimate TCM comeback?
I mean, never say never, but the last time that happened, people didn't know how to hold January last, so I wouldn't get my hopes up just yet, unless, I guess, you're a big fanboy, because this is the only chance they're getting right now. This has to work, but, like, just think back how slow the previous mid fight was. They need just a huge swing right away, and those aggressive mids have not been good. They need everything to come together perfectly on this upcoming mid fight, and then another two more after that as well. It's tough chances to make this happen. This is the only chance they have to do it. However, the bombs across already completely right on top of everyone. Follow up by Phoenix coming through as well. No one's really dying quickly, but at least they're dying. Eventually, Phoenix cleaning up. Scouts across the point, get some good damage. Alien Workshop needs to defend the medics, but the flank's already there. Clean up the kill on that one. They are winning the fight, but they might just be losing the war.
Yeah, Phoenix getting so much value for his bomb, but losing their own medic lucky is going to make it very difficult to make this epic comeback a reality. Still 3 rounds down, just over 3 minutes left to play. Would need a bit of a miracle at this stage. Lucky spawn out. I'm not liking this from Lucky. You've got to spawn quick squeak in this situation. Comes up, still on the medigun. Maybe doesn't have a bind, but either way, looking to move it in, looking to press the issue, but time very much against them here.
The Basque just has to, they don't even have to be winning anymore. They just have to lose really slowly. It's fine. To that end, we're just trying to throw things in for the medic. Have 2 people locking in the backlines, just dragging people back, turning them around, slowing down any progress of Ford. And if this happens to land directly on top of the medic, even better for it in the end. Soldier Scout in the back, making exactly that happen. The rest of the team just pushes up off the distraction to clean up once more, and I think more than certainly this should wrap things up in favor of the Basque. And I don't know about anyone else, but I obviously had the narrative going in my head that they didn't have to play Week 7. They've been given a default win by a team that just kind of gave up because they couldn't make playoffs anymore in Week 7. Always the question, did you deserve it to be here? The team wasn't bad by any means, but certainly after this map 1 performance at the Parodies, any doubts of that notion are being silenced pretty quickly.
Yeah, they have a considerable 4-1 lead. We've seen basically just a DM fest taking part. Everyone from Alien Workshop just been, they didn't even kill Unforgiven there. So maybe an opportunity for the Bus Crew to clean it up with a 5th round to get the mental edge that is given by taking it to the win limit. And
oh no, the Vanu NG's out. It's over. This is so over.
Oh, this is the BM.
Now, admittedly, most times the Vanu NG came out, games are in this position where they can't lose anymore. But statistically, they've been winning when there's a Vanu NG on second. So if you ignore the context from the statistic, it's highly in their favor.
Yeah, this is where we wish we still had the GG plugin.
Unfortunately, someone on this server might have ruined it for everyone. I don't want to point any fingers now, but they are here right now.
But they're going to go in from lower here, looking to clean stuff up with this Uber. Osvaldo's going to run in. They're going to take out the heavy world Piggy. He's going to go down. Kazuki actually keeps himself on the high ground, able to just shoot downwards rockets, but eventually he's claimed himself. There's still this engineer on the offense. They're just going to run onto the point. Cap time coming in from Lek. Uber is actually going to come out for Alien Workshop here. So they are going to block stuff up. They want to play an extra 40 seconds of this game, obviously. Don't want to be taken to the win limit, but it's not going to have any impact on the actual result of this map.
Yeah, not going to change a whole lot here. They're just going to have a little fun time running to last, I think, one more last time. See if they can, wrap this up 5-1, I guess, just for the sport, I guess. Makes this look all the more convincing in the end. Deserved scoreline, if nothing else, right? There was a bit of a tamer start, I suppose, at the beginning. But once the Basque got going, I mean, like I said, the advantage states looked really nice for the most part. Didn't leave much on the cutting room floor, so to speak, when they had the chance to get in and just make it work whenever they had the chance to. 4-1 in the end. Much deserved win here on map 1. On opponent's map pick, mind you. Alien Workshop wanted to see Snakewater, but they're regretting their choices right now.
Yeah, it's big turnaround. Is 5-1 the week 6 game to Alien Workshop, and now 4-1 in reverse to the Bus Crew in this important first map of this lower bracket game. Reminder that the loser is straight out of playoffs. The winner has to win 2 more games if they want to claim the Division 1 crown, but is now very much a last chance saloon for Alien Workshop after losing their map pick. Now have to go into their opponent's map pick.
No, I don't want to point any fingers, but bullying Triple is also very funny. So I will just say that the last time they played against each other, Triple wasn't playing and they won a map. So, make of that information what you will. But more serious notes, though, with KOF coming up next, this will be a big change of pace right now. It will probably not look like this. And that will matter a lot as well. You see in the logs here as well how the performances were overall. But, like, just the mid-fights alone, right? You can't compare that whatsoever coming up.
Yeah, it will be a very different kind of game, I expect. But yeah, I think, looking at the logs, don't want to overly point fingers, but Triple and Kazuki are obviously the two players who I don't think they've been mains this season. I don't exactly know who the mains have been. I think they've been switching players here and there, but they certainly didn't play that week 6 game where they tied, and they've haven't really performed here tonight. I don't know if that's just a case of subs coming in and not quite being up to the level, not quite being as sharp. Triple Punk's playing the game a lot, so I wouldn't expect him.
This is not doing numbers for Triple's rack post right now. Let's just say that.
Yeah, but tough stuff either way. I think Phoenix had a good game, but overall there was a clear golfing class. And
kind of funny how explosive and like how good everyone's numbers is, but then like exactly the demo man apparently didn't kill anyone. I mean, that happens sometimes, right? Especially if you're just playing back a lot as well. And I guess that's really what's happening with Black as well, just playing really far back for the most part. So taking like the big kills all the time. I mean, I don't think we've seen like many like deep demo bombs or anything like that, right? Playing really reserved, the like far back demo man style, like some people like to do. Let the rest of the team need to charge a bit more, and when if your scouts deliver like Osvaldo and Vanu have been today, then that's no surprise. Obviously, people watching Prem a lot more would be familiar with Vanu, but Osvaldo probably a little more unfamiliar face to some people in that regard, but certainly making a good first impression on TFTV. If he hasn't been on the channel yet, he might not have been in any mid-players games or something like that in the past. Been moving up though recently, took a small break before that, but is back now. I think he was one of the TOs in the Friendship Cup we had earlier in the year as well. So he kept himself busy, and the work's paying off, I guess, finally.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it was quite a big difference in that map. It was obviously 3-round map difference, but if the Alien Workshop had converted all those last pushes as they got early on in that Snakewater game, would have been a very, very different story. So thankfully, we're moving on to Bagel for them at least, and we're into a map where you don't actually have to break last pushes. You just have to play around the point and win some team fights, and that is where they look a little bit stronger overall.
Here's what a funny inside information Twitch chat has been providing might come in clutch, because insider info from Kindred is saying that because of pick bans being a thing in Division 1 this season, Alien Workshop did not have a Bagel official at all this season yet. That doesn't mean they didn't scrim it, because I'm sure someone has forced them to scrim this, but the likelihood is that they scrimmed it a lot less than some other people. I guess makes this a smart pick in some ways for Basco, especially if they're confident in their own, but you never know. KOF can just swing one way or another pretty quickly if something just goes wrong. And certainly, still to this day, I mean, Bagel's been here now a while, but sometimes you just still get like map knowledge by people at the moment, especially in not the top divisions. I guess Div 1's pretty high, so maybe not so much the case anymore. I'm sure these guys must have played it somewhere along the way. At some point, you don't have excuses for the new map anymore if it's been like 2 or 3 seasons.
I mean, it's been in a lot of seasons, but if you're never playing it in between the seasons, in the off-season time period, and you're not scrimming it too much in the season itself, and you're not even playing officials on it, you have a few excuses. I'm personally not a huge fan of the map pick system, where it means we end up just not playing maps.
Yeah, it has its ups and downs. Every season I'm curious how the people feel about it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to have survived. I don't know exactly what the feeling is among the top players. I mean, maybe there's just some maps they really don't want to play, and I guess it gives you that option. That is certainly the positive. But if it means you end up having to play one of your maps you don't really particularly like in playoffs without too much practice, not an ideal scenario for sure.
I guess thing that stems out of that, though, that is good, is now this season, unlike the seasons before that, with double KOF in the map pool, the pick bans work out in a way finally where you only get the 1 ban, at the beginning of the pick process, and that means you just can't get rid of Koff entirely right away. So, if Alien Workshop knew, for example, that these guys are good on Koff, they can only ban one of two and pick the one, or leave the one that they're more confident in, for example. You can't get rid of it entirely if the other team really wants it. If no one wants it, of course, no one will pick it either, I guess. But as it stands, the team that's at least alright on Koff is going to get one of those two, and you're just at least forced into a bit more variety. Can't get rid of an entire game mode by itself. I always liken to the opposite problem that I'm sure you're aware of has happened in Highlander a lot now, where it's so many Koff maps that you will just play them all the time. Conversely, it's like the reverse of that.
Yeah, can't avoid them in Highlander. You can do your best to avoid them, but sometimes they'll still come back and bite you in playoffs in important situations. And yeah, this is backs against the wall for Alien Workshop. They need to win this map to keep themselves alive. Looks like we're still going to have Triple and Kazuki playing. As I said, I believe those guys are the boys that were subbing in. I don't know exactly how they want to play. Just, I guess, maybe the fact they players weren't here for the first map, they're just going to stick with it. Hasn't, as I said, there were chances, certainly, for Alien Workshop, but if they had converted those last pushes, would have gone completely differently on Snake. Then this map is just a completely different game mode, so it might not apply.
Yeah, it's gonna really be an interesting one now as well. Also, if they sub them out now, that would be really mean, and I think not be nice. So I don't think legally you should be allowed to do that after a loss.
True.
I don't think that matters so much to them, but you never know. Either way, I mean, I guess at least 5 of them go to LAN. I don't know if Tavi didn't play the qualifier because he couldn't play or because not going to LAN, but at least most of these guys are going to LAN in some capacity. So, they, if nothing else, need to practice either way, even if you just ignore the actual competition itself as something you should try to win as well. It's still always another thing for them to play at the moment, so it still matters to the university to see how you can perform when the big games roll around. Qualifier games haven't been too great, but competition was admittedly also much better than this is so far. I mean, that was just Prem rosters basically they played against. Can accept a loss there, but now is the games you can win. They've shown to be able to contest these guys closely as well. But you actually clutch it out, and that's been a struggle for them this season. There's been just a lot of close chokes, and unlike those close games so far, this has not been all too close so far. A map like this that can just run away from you very quickly.
Yeah, I think the key thing with Bagel is you've obviously got compared to a map like Product, it's not nowhere near as scout dominated. Soldiers have all these choke points, all these places they can jump through and spam through as well as a decent amount of high bombs. So there's options with soldiers, but importantly, the forward hold and getting through these entrances and negotiating all the spam and all the pressure that can come in is probably the biggest factor on this map. There is obviously forward hold on Product as well, but it plays a little bit differently. On this map, it's a little bit more dynamic in a case of you often have to rotate around a very close, aggressive hold by going onto the wider, lower ground position, which itself gives disadvantages. So if teams are on the ball, they know their setups and they can get those forward holds going, it can be very, very difficult to break through.
Yeah, especially with always the threat that someone can just sneak up through main as well, just chase down your medic trying to get out of the forward hold. It's just so many ways to play aggressive into the position of the other team leaving spawn. It's really, really dangerous to make work sometimes. I mentioned it yesterday in my stream as well. It's the amount of times you see people leave late into their spawn area and then get caught by a guy just jumping quick from the main entrance up the stairs. It happens so much. It's that has to be just purposefully designed in a way that it just perfectly catches anyone leaving late exactly as they're trying to turn the corner. It is such a death trap to leave the second late on this map in your attempt to leave against the forward hold. Really, really tough one to make work sometimes. Gonna be seeing if that's gonna be enough for them here as well. In completely other news as well, I guess narrative we haven't really brought up as well. I guess Unforgiven, obviously a familiar name for many people that watch Highlander as a spy main, has in fact played his first Highlander official already before his 6th season even lands. Happens sometimes when you're in playoffs. But most people just know him as the spy main, I suppose. Has been playing Sixes Mat for quite a while now here and there, and has insisted for a while. No, I'm up for the task in higher divisions, even though he didn't have much experience up to recently in higher divisions. Finally making it to show, I guess. Been going pretty well this season, and due to no small part of him being a good bedrock for the team. I mean, we've seen this map; it's been solid match so far, and he's making it work.
Yeah, he's looked pretty solid. There's definitely some moments where you can see he's committing with his team, and there were a couple of times on Snakewater where he got punished, kind of forced in slightly awkward positions, but overall pretty solid gameplay. He's been on the ball, not making too many like big mistakes, and yeah, as a whole, the team they had moments that first map where they were pushed back, but every kind of fight they lost within 30 seconds they were back in position and were looking to turn it around. And I think that is crucial. We weren't seeing like gigantic momentum shifts. We weren't seeing, particularly, I think the bus crew, no kind of evidence of choking or mental breaking or anything like that, or tilt or anything. So yeah, they really look on the ball, and they just kind of slowly ground Alien Workshop down. I don't think Alien Workshop were too tilted themselves, but at the end of the day, they were just kind of overpowered, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. This will probably be a little bit faster paced. It will be a case of you've got kind of the more distinct rounds where you can lose a round and it be like a 3-minute wipe, and then you can immediately come back. So we'll see how Bagel plays out as we are waiting for Wild Piggy to come back from being AFK, apparently.
He's really busy not being on the server right now. You need to understand. I mean, I'd give them some time to think about it. If nothing else, I can confidently tell you that I doubt Lucky is going to be tilted here in this one. That man has been shiny hunting a Bulbasaur in Pokemon Fire Red for the past, like, month and a half, I think. And he's still going at it. He still hasn't gotten it, I think, but, if you have the patience for that kind of stuff, then you're not going to get upset about losing a map, I suppose. So that might be good news in the long run here. That might help them quite a bit. They need that sort of patience just now. Also, in other news, I guess, for anyone wondering, we are streaming early today because Division 1 follows the same playoff structure as Premiership did this season, which means a game now early in the evening and a game at standard match times 21 CEST, as in 3 hours from now, tonight, as well as the same time slots tomorrow. It's going to be winners finals. Namco Poogie from first against Trust the Process in the second seed, as you can see here as well, with all the time slots. Just to remind you again, same times as today, tomorrow as well. If you're not in the same time zones, don't worry, it's just the same times once more. And yeah, tomorrow's losers finals. The winner of this one against the loser of the game later tonight. Follow up into grand finals, the winner of which is getting the free invite into Prem that historically now, both the other teams in winners probably would like very much, since one of them has failed many times in Prem qualies and the other one has just failed this past time they tried this season.
Wait, when you say shiny hunting Bulbasaur, he's doing it like before the game with the resets, right? Oh my god. Yes. I've done some pretty degenerate shiny hunts in my time, but that one is too much even for me.
Yeah, that is something else, especially if you go into older games like that. The math is just like so against your favor in those games. It's ridiculous. Just the things people have to go through to play comp in those games as well back in the day. It's just like, how is there people on Twitter upset that people like cheat themselves with Pokemon? That's astounding to me how people defend that.
That's kind of a complicated issue.
I
guess we could go through it if you want.
I mean, we have nothing better to do. I mean, the whole argument is that, oh no, you cheated all, therefore bad, but like, how is it getting an unfair advantage having something that, you can't just have and doesn't impact how you play competitively? It's like complaining that someone cheated themselves every unlockable TF2 weapon in the game, and therefore it makes them better at the game somehow.
Yeah, it obviously doesn't actually make any difference in your ability to play the game. I don't know. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of genning. I think I guess it allows people. It allows people who have like no time to play the game, I guess. But that's
these things
really
are getting better.
The only reason. Yeah, I mean, later Pokemon games has been a lot easier to build competitive teams. Game Freak could still do a lot more in terms of making it more possible. please give us a
What was
rusty
what
bottle
was the
cap.
region? Wait, which region again did they like just ban a bunch of people in recently? As well, because they were protesting against like.
That was Korea.
Oh yeah, Korea. Like apparently the Korean league admins are like awful, so they tried to protest against them, and the Pokemon Company just banned them all. Oh, imagine a TF2 equivalent on it. I would love to see that. Like people trying like in solidarity to like admin.
I'm pretty sure.
TF2L.
Pretty sure that exact same situation has probably happened in Brazilian TF2 recently.
I mean, it doesn't count when it's just a bunch of people like all the counting. That's not a boycott. That's just people being stupid and hoping to get away with it.
Yeah.
That, however, happens a lot.
Yeah, from what I hear, the Brazilian scene isn't the most wholesome.
But you gotta have that medal, dude. It's so important.
That,
when you get
it like really cool
when you get it like a year later. What people need to realize, if you're like running for a medal, you don't see that thing for like at least 6 months. That's gonna take a while.
You know, the drugs and ramen may have changed hands a lot of times in Brazilian TF2, but at least you've got that medal.
that's what really matters here. And that gold medal is still possible to get for these two rosters. It's a lot of work to get there, running through the entire losers bracket, but if you don't take your chances now, what's gonna ever happen in the future? After all, just now this season we've seen third place make it all the way to Grand still anyway. Who's to say this can't happen here? But Basku from 4 looking pretty good right now. Let's see if they can turn everything around on the other side, because they need to on Alien Workshop. It's looking dire, and they're already mapped down in the special frame.
Yeah, and again, it looks very similar to Snakewater mid. Actually, neither team really committing. Nico is actually going to be the first one to jump in, but he plays with his low triple takers right. But it's allowed to CS some space to bomb down onto Tabby, but they aren't able to claim that frag up. And now with both soldiers down for the bust through Alien Workshop, can go forward. Phoenix has found himself in a decent position to maybe going for something. Lek is able to sneak himself out of that important situation, but we're going to see the Alien Workshop boys set themselves up with a bit of a foothold here.
Yeah, good start for sure. Got already contested in pretty heavily. Phoenix really far into that as well, actually. Surprisingly, he doesn't quite get away with it either, and yeah, fall back pretty quick. Question is how much you want to fight back on point now with the Uber. The chances there, I've seen people approach this exact situation very differently. Let them cap, wait for spawners, maybe just go in right away. We're going in right away. Do you just want to get as much cap and just stay that they have on point as possible, and maybe just get a good post out of this one, and that's exactly what's happening here. Bombs looking good right away on both sides for that matter. Vet's dying right away, but the rest of the cleanup so much faster, for better or for worse on the blue side. Get the kills quick, but get themselves the match taken down as well at the end. CS still trying to do their goddamn hardest in the back, but 1v3 not looking pretty there. Will go down very late. Makes the spawn a bit worse here, but with spawn advantage from not having cap control, it's not the end of the world. Will basically just be a 6v6 fight at the same time once again. But before that happens, 5v5. Tabasco already back on point. They're just about beating out everyone to the cap, barely with the better spawns.
Yeah, they're gonna move through to their left side now, because you can just patrolling the right alone on the flank. Now he's going in for a bit of a bomb, but the cap, as you say, back in the Basque's favour. They are starting to tick the time back to a bit more quality. Wild Pig is actually going to stand on the point, just lock stuff down, but Nico's in a decent position here. Oh, that rocket's so close to finding Tabby, but Vanu is already in. He's busted through. Lucky's in, launched in the air. Nico takes him out. They've lost a lot of frags for it, so we're going to see Unforgiven and Lek run back, tail between their legs, but they do have that medic frag and they do have a large advantage.
Alright, lost a bit of time there on that standpoint, but not too big a deal. It's still in the lead on blue, even with the advantage betrays them a little bit. As it stands though, I mean, if you get a good force going, that's just gonna make things a lot worse here right away for the Basque. That, no portal. It's gonna let them get space easily, not a force until they get 2 points at least. The question now, if they want to chase really deep with an Uber of their own or not, or just like get away with easy cap time. Frank is trying to keep them busy, both soldiers left and right, getting some good damage, no kills just now though, means the point will still change color here. Bomb across, they're really trying to get to the medic, but Unforgiven holding on to this charge, not letting it go for better or for worse, and some dropping a couple people instead as well, but numbers still good enough to maybe make it all be worth it in the end. There it comes finally, last ditch effort Scout just right in on him, gets his fort going, and with that force, it's suddenly looking a lot better right now. And first of all, it took forever to get this cap, actually. That was probably mostly due to not wanting to use Uber, of course, right? If you go deep, just kill them all, that would be a fast way to get there, but then you don't have Uber afterwards. Wanted to avoid that situation, keep advantage on that point, but that betrayed them here. Advantage big now in favor of Alien Workshop, right away getting back to the cap. They know they have a chance to get this one, similarly so don't see a reason to use just yet, but opinions can be changed. Lucky beats so much damage, and despite the pack, it's not enough to survive. They're sending everyone in forward, and it's working out brilliantly.
Really unfortunate for Lucky. Gets launched decent surf away, but perfectly into Barney and didn't quite spot him before the meat shot came out, and there we go. Medic down. Oh, well, Biggie doing a good job just dominating Nico there, taking him out as he tried to walk through that choke point, and you can see Alien Workshop have stabilized themselves. They've got a big time advantage now, and it's kind of tough for the bus crew. They've got 30 seconds to work with. Got to make this next dry push work.
Capline started already, see if they can force some position out as well. The first time in a short second we've seen someone recontest point with no Uber on any side just yet. Gonna take the dry fight here right away, flank behind, trying to turn some head. Doesn't last long enough, people down early, trying to get the second soldier involved as well. But you can play that game. Kazuki on the other side too, while Sia's trying their luck on the medic, but only one of them succeeds, and the cleanup for the blue team is making it all fall into place. Brilliant stuff there. The Busku bombs just not quite working out, and suddenly Alien Workshop, after a hot loss on map 1, looking fairly solid on map 2. Maybe it's just a matter of warming up throughout map 1 to really make it all come together. Not the first time someone warmed up late in a game like this, but it's not over yet. Not really confident just yet, but the Zuba's coming out, and it's already cleaning up everything in front of them, including Phoenix staff, but that's not to worry. They just need to clean up one demo man on point, and they should be in the clear.
There we go, Alien Workshop taking an important victory as well on this round, because they been having a tough time on that previous map, and they do need this. They look pretty solid throughout, and yeah, we'll see onto this next mid-fight. Seen very passive stuff so far. I don't expect too much of a change, as it was actually the bus crew initiating the last time with that big bomb, but at the moment both teams just sitting back, spamming, feeling each other out, getting a little bit of information. Sia thinking about sneaking through into the house area, just spamming, neither team making too much. Point is open, so Osvaldo's starting to get some cap time, but Tabby, while Biggie, just going to walk forward to block it just about for now. But Tabby takes a ton of damage on his entrance, and that will give some space here for Bus Crew.
Might give them a chance. So much cap I'm already in blue. If you just sneak away this cap, this might still make up for having to leave early, but they don't want to give up at all. It's already behind once again, trying to sneak past them. Phoenix doesn't get much out of it, force them back just enough to get the cap. Now it's a matter of how long can you keep this though. With players down, it's looking kind of rough. Rusty right away, quick into the fight, and looks like the blue side also happy to take this exchange with the triple getting taken down in the midst of all of it. They can't stay at all. It gets them a few nice seconds getting the first cap just now. Lucky pretty weak in the aftermath as well, has to escape the change, but Lex here all going down. They fought so confidently they can just go deep on all of this and clean them up big time, but it backfired completely on them. This completely swung the other way. And suddenly it's just working out perfectly for one. What a turnaround.
If Lek had lived half a second longer there, he would have got 4 kills and just nuked them in that held back area. But he was just about taken out in time, and once that demo run was down, there just wasn't enough health on the bus crew boys. Now they're looking to bust in. There's a big high bomb in. Mizuki doesn't see a target, so wiggles himself back out of there. Value's made some space. Osvaldo is through as well. One thinking about going in behind, but Triple is on the hunt, takes him out, throws the picture toward in as well, and it looks like we'll be back to the drawing board for bus crew.
Alright. Once again, back to the forward hold. We've seen this before. Well, a very tame one early, I suppose, right? Not like the big impact ones you'd hope to see, I suppose, but didn't really betray them or anything like that. Worked out quite nicely. Getting out from the flank side pretty quickly. High bomb threatening some position here. Gets the damage across, and Kuzuki just sticks the landing because, well, never goes for the medic at all. Just gets the first player in right away, and with no soldiers left standing. How do you really take this fight? Well, we're finding out, because they're deciding to keep going forward anyway. Try to make the most of it. Just want an exchange of some kind. Get themselves behind the upper combo, actually, as well. but have to use so much sooner. Lose a soldier and a scout in the meantime. It's not going great off the beam, and with that stat, the beam can't stay on point any longer. They have to get out of there quick. Unforgiven once again, lucky to have people just body block their way into keeping him alive, but little does that matter in the end. I don't think Cam caught that. That man was gonna die to fall damage, but landed with a jump pad, and that just cancelled that one perfectly.
The only good use of a jump pad I've ever seen in a map. Vardy's gonna get down.
Well, that isn't landing in an immediate baby shot, I guess.
Oh, well, Piggy takes a ton of damage. He's cleaned up as well, so it's a 1-for-1. Both important scouts down, actually. Busker just going to muscle away and take control of the point. Sears thinking about Ju and Kazuki, but doesn't need to take that fight. And, you know, Alien Workshop, they'll be happy to have this 2-minute lead, but decent little mini push there by the Busker to just get the point back in control and stop that clock ticking.
Alright, point control, finally for the Busker, but still highly contested, so can they really stay here much longer? I mean, an exchange surely is about to happen pretty quickly. Have to deal with the player behind them in the meantime, and Zia's actually doing pretty good work. And Tavi is what is actually going terrible for Alien Workshop to start with. Finally get the guy in the backline, so this is going to be good enough. Have to want to cap him, at least get the cap away, but that just delays everyone spawns. Bagel, a bit different obviously with how fast he capped it. It's hard to just realize late, you need to maybe not stay on point for a little bit and not delay your spawns. But also you cap so fast, it's so much easier to get some seconds of cap time, they trade back and you still kind of get your good spawns anyway. It is a lot more worth it sometimes to cap in positions where on product you just wouldn't. Once again, the bombs are coming through, they don't want to let them out of spawn. This time around, it's going a lot better, still a 2-for-2 trade in the end, but the mat getting taken down. That sounds good, playing the back. Getting so weak, manages to escape just barely. They just go full send again though. They need this guy to go down, they know that very well, but it's not happening. Phoenix, last man standing in the back, tries to come through. Another rocket hits Unforgiven, but none of it will kill the guy.
Yeah, great survival by Unforgiven. I have to say, not the best focus fire thus far this game from Alien Workshop. They've got Unforgiven down into single digit health multiple times and not being able to follow up. I think, you know, both of these scouts, neither has been committing behind an awful lot. They've had their moments where they've gone into big plants. Now Sears in trying to stop them before they walk through. Look a little bit uncertain here exactly how they want to move through Alien Workshop, but they've absorbed the storm, absorbed the assault. Now they have both big Hunter soldiers. It's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah, and gets them 2 point at the very least. That will probably be the temporary stop at the moment. And ooh, they decide to just force pretty early to all of this as well. I was not expecting to go all this far deep in as well, especially since Lucky is so far back. They're not catching that guy at all, and it might make the timer draw even, but the Ubers very much favor Alien Workshop going into the last few seconds of this round. And once again, it's not a bad position to be in. This Uber does like anything productive, and this round it might be over. That's sad, but be careful here when you're using. The bombs are coming through already, and are getting the Uber used pretty quickly. If you use the soldiers for this purpose, that's pretty much okay on the Busker as long as the Met gets out alive. You can trade this back and plenty times, so you just saw how quick this went on the other side. That took like 20 seconds. They have 40 of those left to go around to only get 16 more of their own. The math checks out in their favor on the Busker. All they need to do is get in with this Uber cleanly enough to get a couple of kills.
Set up for the forward, although must be knowledgeable that Unforgiven is very close to this Uber, so we'll have to see how Alien Workshop look to kite this, looking to take it in through the middle entrance, and it's stuffed pretty well. They're going to have to pop straight in. Kazuki loses life for it, but now the aggression is coming in. The Uber's faded though, Lek is taken out, Tavi on the point, able to claim him. Nico gets 2 for 1 with a final fadeaway rocket before he's killed, and it looks like it's going to shake out decently for the Bus Crew. They cap it up. They only have that one loss of Nico, and the Bus Crew have turned it around with an important fight win.
And that is so huge. Like I said, all they need is just a few good kills to get themselves in a position where everyone has to rush on point late. Exactly what we're seeing now. Alien Workshop in tough spot, barely in the overtime, and they can't get the rest of it. I think that was Harvey just barely stepping on it to like delay things a little bit, but no one else can help him out there in time. And the Basku clutches this one back around. Tough one to make work at the end, but they found the line, made their stay on point count, get themselves the 1-1 round now. Even game once more. First to 3, of course, will win this map. So 2 more in any direction. Makes this one be a win right away, and this next one gets you to map point early. Match point even for the Basku if they were to take this one. Lots on the line here in the middle of map 2.
currently bus crew working with it's because all 5 of their combat classes buffed, as neither team once more wants to be the first team to step forward. Now it's quite a lot of cap time ready for the bus crew. Triple and Tabby are going to have to send it to block it, but they do find that scout pick onto Oswaldo. Kazuki is quite low, but will just about get himself into safety. Sia finds a frag onto the flank, but that's going to be about all that works out for the bus crew. They're going to have to back up. They're going to have to give Alien Workshop the team back. And
too many aliens in this game.
Yeah. Where's Alien from the chat?
There's like 3 of that's too many, and we can't have all of them. Then there can only be 1. Either way, Forward once again got them good value, despite the downtoss just now, got good value out of the last few Forwards they had. This time around a bit different. Bosku has to, but very willing to exchange right into it, into the combo, to take a fight right away, see what happens with that as well. Sneak a soldier past them, that mixed results will be a trade at least, turn some heads though, get some space if nothing else, and against the forward, that might just be all you need in theory. In practice, you'd like to see some kills here, not onto your own players. Vanu caught going aggressive very early, backfires pretty quick, like taking so much damage. The bomb from Sia works out perfectly, however. All the meantime, Unforgiven just running out alive. This does still waste considerable amount of time. Getting Unforgiven out again alive, wait for spawners, then repush after all of that, but if you can make your position afterwards be as good as possible, which happened last round, it might be all worth it in the end. There we go though, it's not gonna happen. Kazuki finds the bomb on the medic. Everyone's just reacting really late, shoots them down right on top of the medic, gets that kill onto Unforgiven. No way to serve those at the angle they were coming in on. And suddenly it's looking once again brilliant for Alien Workshop.
Yeah, it's working out okay for them. Certainly Triple is having a bit of a rough game so far. Just seems to be running into Sia's rockets for the last few minutes, but Wild Piggy has is top in the scoreboard with a hefty amount of points, a lot of frags, probably a lot of caps as well to his name. But Tabby is just absolutely mulched, and now they're just running in there, committing full send by the bus group. They've taken out Lucky, and in Unforgiven is just firing arrows, manages to deny Phoenix as well, and is even given credit for that kill as Phoenix just pops himself up and Kratos.
Good cleanup by Piggy in the end at least, keeps the point alive for a little bit longer. They can't just center and cap when there's still broke Portuguese man running rampant on the point. Delays this for so long to the point where spawns come in. They can maybe fight back a little more, don't get there in time to block the cap any longer, unfortunately, so it will trade out eventually, but with only 1 minute left to go, this is looking pretty good for any workshop. We've seen chokes like this happen plenty of time before. Can't get too cocky just yet, but advantage on Unforgiven will make things so much better for the basket to get some time finally. But it is still Bagel. If you just trade cap long enough, that might still work out in your favor. You want the safety net or not having to run into Nuba first of all though, so the bombs are in, and chat, take your bets. Will CR7 go huge this time?
We're looking at Sia, yeah, I guess the Phoenix bomb, Unforgiven is it's probably seen him, it's probably turned around. He's obviously not going to be tracking him, he's looking the other way. And he is on one of these staircases, which I believe you would hope in a newish map like Bagel won't eat too much of the damage as they would if we were back in the original Badlands. But yeah, certainly I think there's a good chance here Phoenix forces.
Alright, well he has backup as well if nothing else. There's a scout peeking, there's a sticky coming in. I don't know what angle it was flying in on, unfortunately, so who knows if it's going to connect necessarily, but I think more than certain, I think Unforgiven will have to use his back turn, but everyone's probably yelling at him to just pop the Uber right now. It's going to be a bit of a rude awakening if they don't realize in time. The worst case scenario is here, there's no rocket leaving the launcher until you're like in melee range, so this thing does 100 wireless sticky hits for 50 at the same time, because then you just can't do anything. You have to just have force before you take damage, and no one really wants to do that. But, you know, it's like I like saying, the real skill set of Medic is deciding when to use or not holding forever. Not using D was really easy. Realizing when you need to use one, it's really inevitable. Or really beneficial to you to just chase people with invincibility. That's where it really comes to show you know what you're doing, and admittedly, knowing what you're doing when you backshot to danger, a little bit difficult actually. Oh, it's even worse than that. Never mind, it's not even like the double dead rocket sticky, it's just an air shot. Actually could perfectly react to that, but just didn't manage to in time. Lucky 97. Wait a second. Okay, this is just... It's just painful for both ends here. Lucky doesn't get away with it on 97. Like, admittedly less bad, I guess, in some ways than dropping an Uber to an air shot, but still not good.
No, not a great situation overall, but Alien Workshop will be happy to trade medics with the tap in their favor with the massive time lead they have. And there we go, they just W across the point, able to take out Unforgiven again. Nico, lone survivor. He's completely encircled Kazuki. Triple, he actually gets that frag up to Triple. Triple is got to be molding at this point. It seems whatever he does, he just magnetizes rockets to himself.
On the bright side, there are 10 seconds worth from winning the round here. It's just about to end, and there's so much time left for Basco. Even if they choke this position somehow, which I feel like they won't. It's looking really nice. That on point doesn't get a kill here, but that's really weak. Rest of them to get that in time to cap at least. Get this much going, but the refight is going to be miserable now because any bit of pressure on cap is going to force everyone to contest so heavily, and they can just play into the threat so much. Who's a player early helps a lot as well, but Piggy's cap him, no one wants to block at all. P rolling in this grave once more.
Last time you did that, you summoned her into the chat, so...
That wasn't product though, so that was a little more appropriate.
True. We need a new Herpy for Bagel. We need one for each Koth map.
I guess. Oh, if nothing else, that's the round right there. It's not the game just yet though, still needs one more to win the map. If nothing else as well, on that note, big turnaround of performance so far on the blue side. It's been going a lot better. Any cope they were throwing around the chat if they didn't play this map much. So I guess this was just bait. We're just spreading misinformation. It's looking pretty good actually.
Yep, again, both teams just eschewing and skirmishing across the point. It's going to be the bus crew taking most of the early cap time and getting some pressure forward as well. Vanu takes a lot of damage but does get rode up. Now everyone is pinned back. Wild Piggy can't escape. Triple will live for now, but actually Kazuki comes in, takes out Unforgiven before he is Minecrafted.
Alright, gets a very interesting scenario here that you don't see all too much on Koth games, right? On 5CP a lot of the time, right? One medic dies, the other team leaves. On Koth, usually not the case, because the last bit of sack usually gets enough kills to make someone win confidently in the end, but this time around we have the classic scenario where the repush has to happen with advantage. Unlike usually as well, probably not going to go out without any sort of fight whatsoever, but we'll see what it is. There we go, Lag, I spoke about last map, didn't bomb much last map, this time around in with the rest of the team. Enough damage comes throughout all of this to get the force going. Like I said, some fight will have to happen here, you can't just give this up for free, and getting exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, it's slightly strange to see them play it that way. On the bus crew, they allowed their opponents to walk in the point for free despite them having those 5 combat classes up. But then they just go in for a sack wave anyway, so probably caught me by surprise, caught their opponents by surprise, do get the force out, and now it's actually the bus crew struggling to break through this whole. Nico is in, but he's gonna have to deal with a buffed scout that is very, very healthy. Kazuki is looking to make a play in towards spawn as well. He's just trying to delay as long as possible. Eventually taken out, but the cap time is going to tick back in Alien Workshop's favour.
Yeah, get the round back in a bit more control. However, situation pending. Really have players down on you. Fight just now. Try to get through the flank there early as well. That one a bit hard enough on Nico. Both of them on the soldiers get away with it pretty quickly, but the US come out a lot sooner than that. They don't want them anywhere close to point. Use pretty early, but don't get the force nearly as fast. Couple of kills might make things better here in the end, but they gotta run so much to get anywhere, and they're not escaping anytime soon. Bombs away, get the medic. Really all they're getting as well, don't get the point, don't get enough kills to really stay in afterwards as well. It's a 4v4 fight with the spawns kept in mind, and those on here, Yadiva. So to have to once again fall back and just regroup a little bit, and a lot of that has cost them a lot of time on Basku's ends of the match. So time is just ticking away for Blue, gets so much out of this one. At least no photo this time around, get out the spawn pretty quick, small ad as well, if that comes to matter in a couple seconds time. First of all though, they gotta get the point back. They can't just keep leading timer here. There's the bombs coming through as well. We're looking for the medic. Hit good damage, surf away, we'll keep them alive here. And anyone else crossing point actually gets sniped really quick if it wasn't for the fact that Kazuki got behind completely unnoticed.
Yeah, he just went straight over. They're so unaware of him. He's able to go in and take Lek out, so he finishes off the Unforgiven frag. He takes the demo out. That's going to allow it a lot easier to break through this mini forward hold. Sear's going to get spotted as well. So Alien Workshop, everything is looking in their favour. They have an uber advantage. The cap is very quickly going to go back in their favour as well. The time is starting to go against the bus crew. I mean, you can see Alien Workshop, they are completely settled. They're completely happy. They're just chilling. They have 100% uber ready to go. They're waiting for their opponents to make a move.
Yeah, and that's been just working this entire game pretty nicely, I would say, and there's no exception. Just all pressure on the basket to make something happen, and with Uber not being there yet, it's really difficult to want to make a move, but being this close to Uber as well, you really don't want to just go full set either. You just gotta try to wait for the charge. It gives the blue team so much cap them as well, and by the time they have, finally the force comes out. A bit strange to wait this long to push the Uber across, but I guess Captain really made them just choose to do it more than anything in this situation. Get some good damage across, looking not so bad for the Vasco actually. 2 kills already, have to still deal with the guy on the flank. Phoenix wasting tremendous amounts of time and just gets away with it too somehow. Just walks away for free. More importantly though, the Captain finally comes through. All I saw on the flank, they just sent scouts on the point. Still need to watch the backline anyway. Phoenix isn't done yet, but gets ended pretty quickly, and more important than that, the medic gets caught in the crossfire. They were so confident to make the play with the guy in the flank work out, but it's just not coming to fruition. The distraction didn't work whatsoever, and with 20 seconds left, the Bucks will finally in a position that is actually pretty good.
Yeah, Alien Workshop were doing so well. They bought so much time for themselves, but they just pulled the trigger a little bit too quickly on that Uber, didn't get too much value out of it. So a lot of stickies that Lucky has to risk walking through. There's a big bomb onto him as well. Both the soldiers are committing. They're going to take Lucky out. And in fact, the rest of the boys here for Alien Workshop are not going to have too much going for them either. Phoenix is in behind. Kazuki back in his own spot. They did get the force out of Unforgiven, but that's about all that went well. And now with 30 seconds left for the bus crew, 20 seconds for Alien Workshop if they get the cap back in their favour. It's probably one final fight here.
It's gonna have to do it, but it's gonna be once again a really close finish in this potentially final round of the map. Triple going down early, Tavi going down early, brilliant damage across the cap for the Vasco. It's gonna make the point stay red for just a bit longer, and super advantage is really the big threat right now. They realize that, sent the bomb in deep. Cap in the meantime, but that just delays the spawns, and look at the spawn time relative to time left on the server on the round. It's just dead for so long. Once that's happening, at least it stems the bleeding a little bit, but is that going to be cutting it just now? Bombs trying to come in. Phoenix can't get very far. Lucky taken down there as well. The Vasco in such a good position. The Uber's coming up now as well. Just have to pop Uber and shoot anything close on point. One's going down already, and everyone else has to follow suit on Cap. Makes themselves an easy target. They don't have much of a choice, but just barely getting lift off on Triple's end is just going to end the round right there. We're going the full distance. 5 rounds will have to be played to find a winner.
Certainly making plays. Alien Workshop there. Winning these mid-fights, they're getting big time advantages as well at important moments, but just not quite enough to clutch it out, losing Lucky quite a lot more than Unforgiven it seems as well during this game. Perhaps need a little bit more protection, or just Lucky himself to play a little bit safer, but we're into another mid-fight. It's going to be, once again, a slow-ish one. Phoenix is patrolling that left house, thinking about going for a play. Wild Pig is looking to just stand both scouts either side of the point, but with Wild Pig taking a lot of damage, it's going to allow the cap to come in for the bus crew. Big bomb in from Sia, lands on top of Tavi. It's going to be traded out though, so it's not the worst scenario. Now suddenly Unforgiven and Osvaldo are the 2 players alive for the bus crew. They're going to run back to last. Phoenix is maybe in position, he's just about denied. Will get taken out, and Unforgiven will live for now.
Oh, that was the quickest kill in the West. He just didn't hit the melee swing, we just gave up instantly. No chance to get that. Admittedly, probably correct choice. Unfortunate one at the end, but I mean, good stuff by Unforgiven once again. Has been many times where they escaped just in time. A bit worse on that end, I guess, on this map, but still coming in clutch when it matters right now and gets them back to the final point a lot quicker than the blue side would like. Look at that quick recap on this one. Right away. He was coming out too late as well. We've seen him try to block with Uber so many times. This one just coming up too late a little bit. Cap in the meantime actually just forced the Uber so deep that they can just stand on point in the midst of all this, but they can't run out in time to escape the damage. Leg going deep one more time. Get the medic, but also get utterly destroyed right after. They got what they wanted and nothing else at all. Everyone's dead.
Yeah, great collapse by Alien Workshop. They're going to find Vanu. It was actually Vanu who's able to kill Wild Piggy there somehow, just about, despite so many players around. It's going to be a nice little frag. You can see already The bus crew have that space that already moving in, don't have to worry about any kind of shenanigans blocking them from moving through. They've got about 90% cap time down as well, because he's having to jump on the foot to block it, as well as just kind of walk back in. Nico made some space by going forward. Sears found that frag onto Kazuki as well. And I think it has just about been blocked for now. You can see probably with the players down there thinking, don't want to cap it just yet, going to wait for those spawns. And now go for Farnu, taking a bit of the beam and going forward now that he's getting juggled between two scouts himself. Wild Piggy and Triple, neither can quite find the frag, and it's overall going to shake out decently for the bus crew.
Alright, eventually gets the point back. Took quite a while. Not too far behind just yet. All of this time mostly just Alien Workshop catching up with the beginning of this one, but still Uber on point now. You gotta make this count. We've seen them delay a lot with Uber fight. They gotta do the same on the bus crew in return. So far back, however, can't block cap time for quite a while. Triple forcing out a lot of cap time. No one should force on point by the looks of it though. And they're sneaking this one away in a really open game state actually. Otherwise, could have certainly done something with Uber of some sort, or just blocked in general, threatened in exchange at the very least, but just took too much damage I guess early. You want to play it safe, didn't block at all, and the time keeps ticking down, already down to minute 20. And they are gonna have to go through the fight as well, so more and more time leading out of this one, and not just the time, the players as well. Devil went down in the midst of a fight like this is pretty rough. But maybe they can make up for it with a demo kill of their own just now. That is a lot of pistol shots Osvaldo has to hit here, however, so I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, both of those Ubers just went straight through past each other like ships in the night and going onto the enemy demo. Lek was taken out very quickly by Piggy, but Osvaldo having a much tougher time taking down Tavi, and as he says, already down to the pistol. Tavi's still at a decent 107 HP, and you can see Wild Piggy and Kazuki both in position to maybe collapse as well. I think Unforgiven's a bit overextended here. I don't really see a world in which he can escape to a good position. But interesting Uber scenario, they both have the same way there.
Okay, usually this would be the time where I could tell you, who disconnected, but I don't see anyone disconnected. That might still be like a lag spike during the thing, so it might still come up. But we do know what happened here. It's a mumble died moment issue. Voice chat just gone in the middle of the final round of a game. And if this is how we go to a game 3, then that's very funny.
Certainly unfortunate situation. You never want your comms to die particularly important moment like this. This is about the worst case scenario you could have, a Koth map 2-2 scenario. Obviously, Alien Workshop playing for the lives of the bus crew can afford to lose this map, can go to a third. Certainly wouldn't want to. Would want to clean it up in a 2-map fashion, because there is a lot of TF2 ahead of us.
Yeah, potentially very much. Still, this round is still somewhat more close to contested. I guess Alien Workshop's probably going to run away with a decent bit of time out of this one, but even once the exchange ends, it's still very much doable. I don't know, I just feel like Osvaldo's just not going to kill much here. He's going to have to go so huge. Everyone's so far back to get anything. I guess there's no Phoenix on the flank anymore, so they can get some space over there, come up late maybe to matter. But they got to clean up big time for what Osvaldo's going to do here, otherwise it's going to be very grim post otherwise.
Yeah, I guess it depends exactly what Kazuki does, but I don't see a world in which they aren't able to body block Unforgiven enough that Kazuki and potentially even Phoenix are able to come in, clean him up. It's going to be very difficult to get himself out of there. I think they should probably already been holding S. Once you don't get that initial damage down to them, they have to start holding S, and very likely to be punished. There is that slight saving grace. Vanu and Nico are both in a position. They're both healthy enough to maybe make a messy, scrappy post-Uber fight turn in Bus Crew's favour, but it's certainly not going to be a clean exit, I don't think, for Bus Crew.
A difficult one here. Okay, chat, anyone have like a voice channel they can borrow out very quick for the Bus Crew? They might need one. This is taking surprisingly long. So that's surprising. And these guys have like their own Discord channel as well. Just for text purposes, they could just do that. I don't know what's taking so long actually. Because they really don't want to be in a Discord channel right now.
Yeah, maybe they'll have some mumble only guys. Maybe they'll have to find some old TeamSpeak from back in the day.
Oh god. Maybe this is like Skype time, finally.
Finally, we can go back to Skype.
Finally, Vanu can spread Estonian
hero.
propaganda. Return to Skype.
Return to Skype. Bring the shotgun pocket back.
I don't know how we kept up with Skype ever. The way friend system works was just terrible on that platform. It was awful. Truly the dark ages. Well, at least, you know, now text information is much easier to like search back these days on at least Discord, I suppose. Imagine having to find something in old Skype DMs in the past. Oh, there we go. Game will continue on. We don't know when the no voice chat happens. We might be able to tell from everyone looking like a lost chicken for a moment. Guess we'll see. Anyway, this cleanup came in for that. That's really good. I was worried about that, but cleaning up here is quite nicely. Get at least the medic in the points. Maybe you don't need much more than that. I mean, they still have big comeback to make. This is just under 2 minutes left to go. The lead isn't that big though on the timer, so very much doable, especially with a bit of Uber advantage in their hands as well.
Yeah, and Unforgiven somehow survived through all of that. He went once more down to very low HP, but will live. Lucky will play with his life as well. A lot of spam coming through that main choke point, but he will self-live, but has to deal with potential Unforgiven Uber coming up. Vanu takes a lot of damage before the entrance. Unforgiven still rocking nice and far back, not really wanting to use Uber unless they have to live allowed. Here, Alien Workshop 2 walks back on the point, cap the point up. Vanu's still quite low, not really getting as much beam as he would have liked. And there we do. See, he does go down to Tavi. And Unforgiven still has this Uber ready to go, but Lucky has one of his own.
Oh, dropping Sia though, that's one going down. Leg needs to flash back as well. So much flashing, well, it's Scout solo on the point the entire way through by the blue team. And yeah, Unforgiven's not gonna actually have that much of a better Uber despite popping just a tad bit later. Can't really take this too far in despite wanting to. This is what a pause happened in the middle of a fight, worst case scenario, but I guess this is where you need comms to just coordinate something in the midst of everything. Can't really blame them for pulling out an awkwardly timed one. But it matters a lot. There might not be much round time left, and if they mess up now, it could cost them the whole map. Want to be in prime position for this one. Flanks coming through deny each other pretty nicely. They're both soldiers trade. Seer denied in another trade as well. Soldier pairs just down, but that means player ad with the scout kill on top of things for the blue team, and the timer is just taking down. They have to go in. They don't have much of a choice. They can't wait for spawns barely with the overtime they have, but it's just time for W now.
Yeah, the cap time is still in.
But
there we go. Unforgiven goes down. Barney's going to have to stand on top of it. Nico and C are both in. They're getting the cap time here. Alien Workshop are happy to give the cap back, but they know they have a full minute to work with, and they have Lucky just coming up to 100% Uber. Just
even better than that, they have like 6 seconds before Vanu even spawns, let alone gets back to point. While they push up with Uber, this is like 5v6 for just enough time to matter. Get easily out of spawn. They're playing careful as well, can't blame them. Just make sure they don't get bombed and, you know, lose to Uber early. Get close to point. Now start the cap time, and you just have to clean up a little bit while keeping cap time alive. It sounds so easy. I've seen people choke these, but this has to be the one. Lose triple early. That's what Vanu is.
I'm not sure about this focus down onto the medic. They do lose a lot of players. They take Unforgiven out, but everyone else is low but not killed. Wild Piggy now standing on top of the point, trying to cap it out. He gets one frag onto Sia, gets a second onto Leg as well. Wild Piggy going ham, but I don't know if it will be enough. It's stabilization here for Busco. Spawn is coming in. Perhaps they just have to touch it, and there we go. Alien Workshop are able to stand on the point, cap it out, take the second map, and take us to a third.
There we go. Just barely works out in the end, despite a close fight there. Piggy cleaning up. It really saved the day for Alien Workshop, and against our producer's best interest, we are going to a third map.
Oh, did no one see that last fight? They did. Oh, that's good.
No, but the Basku fans did not want anyone to see them.
Well, you know, it was pretty close. They made it about as close as it could have been on that Bagel map. I thought for a second that the Alien Workshop Uber was gonna be a loss for them. I'm not, as I say, I'm not sure that going for that medic in that situation was the right call, but they did just about scrap it out, and Wild Piggy going huge. I think we can probably bring up some numbers, but given the fact Wild Piggy was top of the scoreboard over 100 points ahead of both of the medics, I imagine he went pretty hard.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do with cap points on this map, I think, to just pad up the in-game scoreboard. The rest of it has to be kills, and there is a whole lot of those. I mean, this man has been like high diffs for as long as I can remember, basically. Just always skipping around random teams where he's been just having fun with, and sometimes you just stumble into a position where you maybe just in the makings of a deep playoffs run.
Yeah, and to be honest, good showing from pretty much everyone on Alien Workshop, because he could do much, much better this map, ending with 30 frags himself. Second highest on the scoreboard, so impressive stuff from him. And despite the fact every time I seem to swap to triples POV, he seemed to be eating rockets, he did get a decent amount of kills himself. So overall, the Alien Workshop boys really clutching it up.
More important than that, despite what you're saying, he actually took the least damage of every damage class as well on his team. And it's just destroying that narrative at the very least. Just avoided damage actually pretty nicely, actually. And gotta count for something on Koff that's not necessarily easy to just stay out of danger while still getting, impact, actually. And 26 kills, I guess, is pretty reasonable impact overall. It's still more than almost anyone on the opponent's team as well. Which, I guess, should go a long distance here to say that despite all that, despite, the worst numbers inferior, Bascu almost still won that. They were almost just more efficient with what they've done a couple times, and it just almost just outdamaged this much, outkilled this much, and still brought to the brink. I guess that bodes well now for map 3, because the first map was obviously a little disappointing for Alien Workshop. Nonetheless, made the comeback here. Gotta keep the momentum going. Back to 5 CP though. I don't know if that's gonna necessarily benefit them in the same way that the switch to Koff did just now. But they gotta make the most of it.
Yeah, there's definitely a different style of play between the two sides. The bus crew were going hard for Lucky an awful lot. They were super committing for him, and they were also playing Unforgiven, quite baity, quite passive, to look to get themselves out. I mean, it's not always ideal on Bagel. I think it's quite difficult to kind of play that style where you're giving up a lot of time just for an Uber advantage that takes that 40 to 60 seconds to build up. Potentially could work a little bit better on process, but again, I think there'll probably be won't be quite as big a difference between the two sides in terms of keeping the medic alive either.
Alright, if nothing else, I think confidently remember that I liked a lot of what I've seen on process from the Bus crew. I don't know, remember the Alien Workshop on this map, unfortunately. Obviously, they didn't ban the map, so it can't be that bad. But I was very impressed with what I've seen from Bus crew last time I watched them play this map, so very curious to see how that goes. I think that might have been the roster swap game, however, where they had leg play scout again. So I don't know how much that matters necessarily, but he was still there. The calling was still the same, even if someone else did the clicking buttons on different classes, I suppose. Surely it still works out, and this time it's going to be looking very doable for them, I suppose. I don't know, let's just put my expectations on them a bit here, I guess. Let's see if Alien Workshop can one-up them in that regard. Did obviously a good job adapting last map. So maybe they got the energy, maybe the warm-up's finally kicking in. It is the early games, of course, that does still matter, quite frankly, so maybe just the longer this goes, the better they get.
Yeah, it's I mean, traditionally we see this as like a very, very scout-dominated map, and I think if you're looking at the two scouts, at least on paper, or the four scouts even, you would probably look to the bus crew, and especially Vanu, as someone who can carry on a map like this. He's been doing so far. There's I think certainly towards the end of that Bagel game, they kind of got a feel for him. There was a couple of really big smart plays by Tabby to just shut down Vanu before he could get into the fight. He was taking a lot of damage. He wasn't really getting too much of the beam himself and was struggling for it. This is obviously, kind of a scout playground. He can really pop off if he is given some space, but it's also going to be very, very important, which side gets the momentum in their favor based on mid fights as well.
Very much so. If nothing else, it's going to be like there has to be a big change on the mid fights, right? If I remember back to the first map, I guess for anyone that hasn't watched it as well, the mid fights just fairly slow overall, but Basco won, I think, pretty much all of them. They always found the answer. They just, every time the side of any workshop tried to take the initiative and go aggressive, they just knocked everyone out the air pretty quickly, shot everything down, and just rolled it from there pretty much. Didn't allow anything to happen. And this is a mid fight that you, I guess, could play fairly slowly as well, but unlike Snakewater, the option to rotate around does change a whole lot of the dynamic that is not there on Snakewater at all. Maybe that's the secret solution, I guess, but they got to find answers that, Bagel doesn't really allow to show for much, of course, different in many ways on the mid fights anyway, so hard to compare.
Yeah, not going to be, it's going to be difficult for the team. It's going to be difficult to say which of these two teams is going to work out stronger. I mean, they've been pretty closely matched throughout this game. They've been pretty closely matched during the season as well. So, have you got any predictions for me, Dum?
I'm going to go with the Buffs crew. I like what we've seen last map 5CP. I like what I've seen last time I watched them on Process as well. I'm not going to knock the comeback potential here. That was a much improved map too, but I'm going to stick with the Buffs crew.
I mean, history, well, I don't know history, but we might say that certainly, based on that Snakewater map as well. Hopefully, comms are not going to be an issue. Hopefully, they've got their mumble sorted. I don't know if they're waiting on JMax still.
No, that's sorted. He told them to start, and then they didn't start, which, it's average DF2 player. I guess I can take this time real quick. Omga, if you're still in the Twitch chat, what are the maps for for your game later? I checked the match rate, there's nothing there. I don't want to add anyone on Steam for that. I know they're here right now, just watching this game before they leave for their own scrims at some point soon. Gotta make this one count real quick. Because that matters as well. That's coming up in 2 hours' time as well. Do you need to know the maps for this one? Well, I don't need to, I guess, but sure it's helpful to have that information on screen when that game comes around. It would be very nice to know. I don't know what they would pick, honestly, in that game. I'm trying to think, but I don't really know which team likes any map, though, to be honest. I guess it's just up to them to decide. I think Battleworks wasn't that good for Fuki, I'm not sure. But that's the only thing I remember. I think that was a map that, like, they almost choked against last place or something. Which, I mean, first place almost choking a map against last place for like half the game, then that's honestly just a good sign of good competition, which it was really, really close in the one all season. Which is good to see, to have close competition there. I think last place of the surviving team had like 7 points, but that would have been much more with the other last team still surviving, and maybe it would have been more of someone getting a default win at the end as well. Like, everyone had playoff chances until like at least week 7, or at least week 6, sorry. And then even still 6 teams had playoff chances in week 7 for a while as well. So we'll see what comes out of all that as well. Okay, I'm using my magic powers to see what's happening in the server, and I see Nico had to reconnect. However, he also has done that now. So surely, how much more time can TF2 players waste before the map starts? The age-old question. I mean, I guess both you and me should very well know that Unforgiven has been historically part of a team that does waste a lot of time in Highlander. So
yeah, but there's no Sting and there's no A6 here. There's no smoke break. Well, there might be smoke breaks. Maybe that's why Nico's not in the server.
I will just say that Envision without him yesterday wasted also until 21:30 to start the match, so maybe he wasn't a problem actually.
I mean, that's just normal.
I mean, kind of. I guess. There was like 16 front players in that game as well.
There's been one game that started before 21:30.
You know where that happens? In Open. Open players are the only ones on time. Because, like, if that's actually new Open players, they're, like, still afraid of the consequences of being late. And then the further you play, the longer you go, the less you care. You just show it at some point before the default win happens. And if the default win does happen, you just start the game and pause, I guess. Although that has backfired on people, wasting the one pause that you legally allowed per map on getting your last player on the server. It has not been good to some people in the past. Oh, okay, so Chad, he's bad news. I looked at the thing again and said Nico disconnect, reason client disconnect. So, I don't want to alarm anyone, but man down.
This is why we need to swap over to a different map that has frogs.
This is why we need an active timer running on stream the second a map ends. And if it doesn't start up after it reaches a certain point, like everyone gets kicked from the server and the game is a default loss.
At this point, we might actually have to go to the drip check. We might be in
okay,
that kind
Nico
of desperate
connected
time zone.
again. He's trying his hardest. A certified German internet moment, I would imagine. 1 round loss for every minute late. Actually, I like that a lot. Let's do that. If you're the reason you're late, then you're gonna suffer the consequences.
We've got Kazuki with the weeb hat that he always wears, the white Crone's Dome.
I mean, his username is Kazuki, so...
Yeah. far too much anime has been consumed by that man.
That goes kind of without saying.
Apparently we're going to be live in 90, so we are nearly ready to go, thankfully.
What are the odds they still haven't fixed the config? We need to think about
that.
This.
Would be funny. I don't think it's likely because it reverts back to the first map you played on the server.
I guess
which was
good.
5GP. So
that's very likely. On the not so bright side, I typed config in the thing and I didn't see a message pop up with config. So let's hope it auto defaulted, like you said. Because otherwise, disaster will strike pretty shortly. You'd think higher if people don't forget about these things, but I've seen things happen recently, so... Never say, I actually wasn't that Prem losers final as well, but I just forgot to change config, actually. It doesn't matter what high division you are, it's just, it still happens, you just forgot.
Yeah, well, looks like we are going to be going live shortly. We'll see how it goes out, I guess. Wild Piggy has been going absolutely mad on this last map. We'll have to see.
It's going ham on freaking Sniper.
Yeah,
whatever that matters.
Went huge on the last map, went huge in the pre-game. He's going to be the one they've got to shut down. They've got talent on this Bus Cruise side to do it, but he is the man I'm looking at to really propel Alien Workshop forward.
Alright, here we go. Map 3 it will be. Very confident map 1 on Snakewater for the Bus Crew, but Alien Workshop still clutching it out against the way the map picks went on opponent's map on the Bagel, just barely. I'm sure they will tell you the Mumble crash mattered, but in the end they kind of just got clutched on by Piggy, so get owned, nerd, and try not to do that again this map, because this is the one that really matters now. Who cares what happens with 1 and 2? Just win process, and you are gonna stay in Division 1 players. The loser of this one is out at 4th. Winner may proceed to losers finals tomorrow, same time, same stream once again. As we see what the mid-fight will bring for us. Bombs across, we just want to see the medic die. They hit so much damage, but casualties are coming in really slowly. Nico trying one more time to get the leap on the medic. They know they have the damage on Lucky, but it's not enough.
Yeah, unfortunately, Osvaldo was pinned so far back. Varnu had been the first casualty. There was never going to be any scouts to follow up on those soldier bombs, and they do get close to killing Lucky down. But with no scattergun for his 2 cleaned up, it's going to be difficult. You've got to rely on clean rockets. Weren't quite able to find it out, and eventually the mid folded because of that.
Yes, the bombs are camped, trying to come free onto the medic. Hit one decent one, but that's not going to cut it, unfortunately. Unforgiven can just tank that just fine. Not a big issue at all. And just go from here. And this is where things are already looking a lot different. Because surprisingly on Snakewater, we've seen him be somewhat proactive of like small advantages in like mid-second transitions. I guess mostly into second, not mid, so that might change things. But the bombs are coming in anyway. Airshots, unfortunately, not coming in at all just yet. I was about to be surprised if they didn't do anything with this, with how they played Snakewater, but I guess we maybe tried a bit too much here as well. Lose one more on the flank. Vano tries to deny Solo's taking position, but can't get anything, and they can't even get all out again either.
Big from Tavi, launched himself into one. They've juggled Lek up as well. He's just trying to shut players down. He is going to take out his Demoman counterpart, but he might pay with his life. A good spawn coming in from C is able to take out Phoenix, but Kazuki goes in for the force with the help of the cap time and the scout running in as well. They're just going to run back to Lucky and have 100% ready to go in an uber advantage push on the table.
Alright, got some good space here all the way to the last point of the advantage still running. That might be all you need. Let's see if they can be a lot more consistent than this one, and we've seen them on maps prior. Snakewater wasn't a good showing case on the potential on last. This has to change now if they want to have a chance. Already get the guy in the backline for the fight on last, really does anything at all. But the cap time's so good. The Stickies finally clean people up. Second, they're trying to step away from the spawn door. Big damage by Tavi, and the rest of the team just sits behind him to finish up the rest, get the cap time going, and just under 3 minutes, we get ourselves a lead already.
Yeah, decently negotiated, and it's been a while since either team has had to push last, and certainly Alien Workshop struggled with it on the first map, but that just a little bit cleaner eventually. Was able to come in just decently baiting the point. Here we go though, another mid-fight. It's going to be Nico taking some space up on the top right. Varney looking to pressure forward. They're looking to just bust over the lap there. Bus going forward, but Unforgiven is bombed by Phoenix. Immediately Lucky is taken out in return. It's going to be Triple looking to duel with that Demo Man Lek, but Lek is taken out. Kazuki's still creating chaos in the background. There's actually a couple more players ready to go from the bus group, but Varney being shut down is probably going to end stuff. Yeah, Osvaldo claimed as well. They're just kind of walking in, ready to be shot like ducks.
Alright, long mid fight there with how much everyone was fighting for the last bit of space to survive on point to cap. It looks like Triple coming out on top just barely enough to get away with the cap time, gets themselves the good position out of this midpoint, and we'll see if they can make anything happen from here. I guess it's similar territory than before, just flipped a little bit with the bombs coming in already on the blue side now instead. See if they can sneak anyone through. Scout peeking in, Soldier going deep, hitting some decent damage, but it's just not enough at all. One last fight happening on the flank, but there's backup for the flank already. Scout team's up for the Soldier, and that's going to be just enough after they fish the first few out of the air. Triple attempt to get people in, and none of them succeed. Everyone's going down into second. Uber only coming up now as well. No one could pop until now. And that might just change things a little bit here, because they might just fight back with you anyway.
Nico's in. Lucky has to surf away to rollout area. Tavi has to surf similar area, but Vanu's on the chase. He's going to claim him. He's going to go in behind as well, be a nuisance they have to deal with on the exit as well. But the rest of the bus group boys have gone down. Phoenix is in onto Unforgiven as well. He has an Uber ready to go should he need it. Kazuki's maybe thinking about going for a bomb. Just spamming a long range 2 scouts. Iggy and Triple chasing as well, but no, Unforgiven will milk successfully, will get himself out, but the back and forth nature is going to swing back. I was going to say either Alien Workshop's favour, but maybe not. It's a recontest here.
Alright, exchange coming through, seeing if they can get some good position out of this one with the kills happening off the beam already. Just sneaks some rockets and scouts, most importantly, in deep past the beam here. Gonna make the Ubers really just not that good for Basku, or sorry, for Alien Workshop. They just lost so much space in the midst of it all. Couldn't keep position whatsoever against that, and Basku much more confidently taking space there with scouts parked on the high ground. Works out pretty well for them. Gets position, gets the cap. Not getting anything else, so they're once again recontesting pretty quick. No one obviously has Uber anymore after this exchange just now. They're liking the chances anyway. Tries to send a Soldier in deep, Kavi with damage across anything, hitting with the medic would be huge right now, but no one's really quite getting there. I think one rocket catches Unforgiven's back in the end, but that's not going to be enough whatsoever. And maybe now it's time for the Basket to make a run on the other side of the map all of a sudden. They get one kill, and they're just in on this right away. Scouts instantly get one going themselves here, and it looks like the rest of Alien Workshop knows much better than staying in against that, but that does make the situation much better, honestly, because now they're back to last, and the Bastards have to take a chance here.
Oh, good defense though by Alien Workshop. Tavi just has stickies ready for Sia. Gonna see Nico try and launch himself in. Lek and Unforgiven are gonna get that. They do get the force though. Out of luck, he went down to below 50 health. So successfully getting that force out. Unforgiven nice and safe back on his own mid spawn as well. But they've capped second very, very quickly off those picks.
Alright, Uber still up on the red team. Do they feel like they're in a position where they actually should use this one? Well, maybe sometimes they're not given a choice. They stuck awkwardly in the middle of point, too far in to run away in time as well, but maybe just too far away as well to chase much. They're trying, so sure. Lucky Pipe does well, catches exactly the Soldier flying by just now, but that's the only kill they're getting. Triple's already behind them, and they don't have time to turn around. There's a fight in front of them too. And Triple is just doing really good damage to take them down here as well. Unfortunately for that guy, just become a little bit slow to step forward. They probably should have pushed a lot more into this as well. Could have gotten brilliant damage out of this one. At this point, they're just like vaguely chasing the medic here. If anything, they get the double man, but not even that one. Vanu keeps up Piggy on the attempt to step in there into the fight, and they're getting even more than that. Wait a second, these soldiers are just getting destroyed all of a sudden.
Yeah, Valu just chuds it in and lives with like 15 health, but takes out Kazuki, and now they're going to be turning back in their favour. Sia launching himself high in the air, looking for a target. Does land on top of Lucky, who has to pop out once more. They're going to take out that one soldier that committed, but Unforgiven can just walk in and milk for a while. Valu eventually takes the Uber down, and Lex able to lock down that one shutter as well, taking out Lucky. Are on the retreat as well. Kazuki's maybe trying to go in for something into lobby. They're trying to move it in. They have 5 players ready to go. Taffy and Wild Piggy, and neither are looking at the point, and they're just walking behind, cap it out, and we're back to 1-1.
Yeah, took a decent bit longer than the previous round maybe, but it works out either way. Good stuff from the Basku to once again bring this back to a tied up scoreline. Maybe they can take some momentum back into the next mid-fight from here as well. Plenty time, don't need to rush anything on the mid-fights just yet. But looks like maybe sometimes the soldiers want to go in early, try to meet each other on the hangout there. No one's coming out on top just yet. The rest of the team surviving now. Try to change things a little bit as well. Phoenix going high, sees you can seek something away in terms of position or good damage. Not much happening in that one. Try to isolate the double man on the other side. In the meantime, that one's very mixed results. They get the kill, lose one as well. Have rough damage all around on Red, however, that might just matter a lot more. Nico's trying to buy his team some space into the combo, but goes down for it much quicker than his damage can be played on immediately, but they're trying anyway, and they might just get rewarded. Scouts, a little late to clean up though of the soldier bomb, but they're in there anyway, and that might just be all that matters in the end. The chase is on, but with Scout speed, that medic should run away from Scouts that are just as fast anyway. Get the beam out alive as well. Good clean up there in the end from Basku will still make this a very worthwhile mid-window.
Yeah, brave stuff from the Basku, just staying in despite that demo man loss, just holding position, holding ground. The scouts in tandem to focus in the same targets. They're looking to stuff Lucky in through this shutter as well. He's not popped yet. It's milked very, very nicely, still down to about 40 health before he eventually pops. Going to have a slightly longer Uber here, and with those 2 frags for 1, you can see Phoenix looking to cut them off. Wild Pig in position. Unforgiven is dodging and jumping away, but he's not going to be anywhere for him to go. They take out Lucky in the meantime, but here we go. It's going to be the collapse coming in. It looks like it'll stabilise with Alien Workshop getting most of the flags, but I don't know how much they can get. They're probably going to get some cap time into mid, but no heals up for either side just yet.
Makes the whole next fight a little bit more convoluted. No one's gonna have an Ubershot coming up in the game state where both teams probably would like to imagine they have a chance to come back to the mid, but with the spawns coming up just a bit late, it looks like that chant might be escaping the Basku. Not faster than it would like, still some people peeking. Like I said, they might still want to try, but I think the regret on this decision, kicking a lot faster than anything else. Good damage coming through all around from the blue team. Trade out one more, with already up numbers. Just fine to lose a guy if you're 2-1 up afterwards as well. Not any more than that, luckily for the Basku, but points lost at mid either way. And the player's still down, they very much are in the right to take some chances going forward from here, and they're just giving up a lot of space trying to stay alive right now. They don't want to fight with 2 down themselves. Basku's giving up second, and in just like one player overextending on mid basically. Suddenly second has been decided as well, and they're back to last already.
Yeah, I don't know how much was one player overextending, but certainly they were looking to try and fight it despite that massive disadvantage they had of having to play from the low ground. No one really committed, no one really made space, and ended up feeding a few players. Now they're stuck back in last. There is lobby control. Osvaldo comes up on the sniper despite the spam coming in. I mean, it's a nice shot onto Phoenix with triple going down as well. Might open stuff up, probably just an extra peek here and there. Osvaldo trying to go out to the upper lobbies. It actually hits a headshot onto Kazuki, which will pin him back to the beam for just a little bit, but spawns are just about coming in for Alien Workshop, and at the end of the day, it's not a huge amount of damage done.
French person hitting headshots? I don't know that one. We'll see, I guess, by the end of the map what happens with that. For now, not that'd be too crazy. It's not really anyone dying. There's shots being hit, but I mean, doing 150 to a sword on the stand, it's not going to kill anyone anytime soon, and certainly not going to get the other last any sooner either. In the meantime, though, in Workshop very busy trying to get themselves lobby control back past the sniper sideline. Didn't get them that far at least, but maybe not any further between, you know, projectiles flying everywhere and the gun being in the way of getting to the medic. Breaking the stalemate is difficult, but not impossible. You just gotta make a really concerted effort to get as much damage in at once as possible. And, you know, maybe spam the gun earlier, because that's hard though. Ooh, bombs across by Sia, and the bombs on the other side don't have to get past the gun. In fact, certainly not through anything at all, actually. Gets in there very quickly, right past everyone, onto the medic, gets the drop as well. And this is where the magic happens. They're probably gonna push out last. But is it gonna be the disaster that I think Snakewater, most importantly, is so famous for in this situation?
Well, that was just a disaster for Alien Workshop. They were so scared of the threat of the sniper that Lucky was playing in that position behind the point, but they just did not spot the soldier whatsoever, got himself in. Decent dodges from Lucky, but eventually just taken out by a point-blank headshot rocket. Another rocket in towards him, Lucky down to 50 health again. Everyone's so low, but they can continue to fight. Unforgiven's low as well, in his own side, his own troubles. Kazuki thinking about going in for a bomb, just eventually jumps back, thinks better of it. They've had lost triple in the backlines while all that has happened. Unforgiven still has his Uber, still has a bit of an advantage, so it looks like Busker are looking to move into mid with it.
Alright, gets them the point already. Uber is just too late to get there. Alien Workshops, point taken on Red. No spawn advantage or anything like that. Everyone's up again. Uber coming up as well. Gonna have to break through the stalemate to get anywhere and make this happen. And this is where things might just slow down a little bit. I mean, who's to say? We've seen them take some bombs before. But it also backfired pretty badly, trying to commit two players into a stalemate like this just earlier in the game. So how willing are you to take these risks this deep into the final map of the series?
Phoenix going very close in that leader position, but they have just about been able to see him off, been able to push him back. Decent amount of spam coming out from left, just putting
no, Nico beefed his
towards
jump.
the scouts.
Oh, he had one of those where the angle was so bad that like apparently you shoot the wall and you don't even like move at all. We've all been there, but it happening just now is not helpful.
Yeah, a little bit nervy, uncertain at the moment. They're looking, I don't know, it's they're trying to make some space to Sewer, but I don't really see to what end. It's probably just to get Nico in through the choke, but he's immediately just levitated in the air, Piggy and Triple double up to take him down. Lucky went quite low again. It seems every second I look at him, he's down to 50 health, but this time will survive, will not have to pop, and actually Unforgiven probably will. Yeah, good bomb by Phoenix, just spotting that medic was holding close, gets the force out with a very nice bomb around the corner, and Lucky's already moving in with his Uber ready to go.
Yeah, gets the force there really fortunately as well. The double bomb wasn't enough. Sia tries one more time, that will do it finally, and in fact gets the double drop as well, but at the cost of, I think, just two players in the end. Might not be the best exchange just yet. Unforgiven, I mean, it's gonna have Uber out of this one. Not a lot of advantage, however, and people still down, and still a lot of ways to go to actually get out here safely. It's a bit of a scary prospect for at least a little bit longer, but luckily for Busker, Alien Workshop still has to spend some time capping, and between that and not having a demo man up as well, there's actually zero movement forward at all. They're just taking the point, be happy about it, and just settle with the stalemate that I think very knowingly they have some disadvantage in, but maybe not enough to be too concerned about.
Yeah, I'd have liked maybe for Alien Workshop to have done something to at least threaten to have bust through. Obviously you want to build up as you can and hold on to this situation. Already up to 80% pop is coming in through sewer. Lek is launching into his opponent's IT. They're going to get Kazuki. It's going to be one soldier. Nico is going to be able to wrap him behind, has to deal with triple punk, but the Uber's back in for Alien Workshop here. Wild Piggy though is getting juggled up in the air, gets damage spread out across a bunch of players. Phoenix and Tabby is still in. Crunch in that choke point area, and it's actually going to be a wipe for the bus crew with Lucky surviving throughout. And there we go, Alien Workshop getting that small victory they needed.
Yeah, I mean, you say small victory. I see a big advantage coming up from here. Lucky's going to have 30 ad, and they're going to get all the way to last already. Might not be like the most impressive advantage for an Uber last push necessarily, but chances are there now. And it's still not being a lead this much into the game. You're gonna take those chances when they're given to you, I suppose. Sit back, see if they can build this up quickly, and, you know, Looks like there's no building going on the basket as well, so this advantage is actually a lot bigger than you're right to be.
Yeah, it's up to 40%.
No, Kazuki's feeding!
Oh, not a good time to die for your soldier just before you're going to go in there. Going to take it in through 5. They spotted the sentry gun. Trying to milk the Uber here, Tabby's. They still haven't had to pop. But Tabby goes quite low. He actually gets dropped out of the Uber. Disaster. There's a heavy shooting him down just as he takes out the sentry gun. It's an absolute calamitous Uber by Lucky. Finds no targets, gets taken out on the exit as well. The one saving grace for Alien Workshop is that Unforgiven was killed in the meantime, but that is that's reminiscent of the disasters that were happening on Snakewater.
It's certainly not a good look. You know, you could argue Lucky got a better spawn wave there, but realistically he didn't actually at all. It was like half a second apart, and they're already behind Uber actually. So, you know, getting the Mad kill is good, I guess, but it's not nearly as good as it could be if, you know, the Mad gets out alive or anything like that. It's not going to be real. Lose second anyway. Bascu's getting a huge break. Everything's coming together. Soldier dies before they go in. Double Man gets dropped off the beam. Just damage lacking in every regard. And then they just get hunted down at the end as well to make things even worse. I mean, tough luck, I suppose. Bascu gladly takes the door of last again with no much issue. And back into second where, I mean, it's still not the greatest position to be in, but it's a lot more manageable to get away with something here. But they're still worried a little bit. It's still the other team in the better map position. At least for the time being, and they're going to take the chances here. I'm sure Kazuki going in the high bomb. It's the fake bomb for now. That's the real high bomb coming through on the side of Phoenix, trying to get in onto the medic, but nice that that jump looked. No damage has been hit.
Yeah, fancy jump, but doesn't win you games. In Rockets wins you games. Actually, Lucky was holding very close to that sewer door that Bardu was peeking through there. Feared for him for a second, but they will back up, they will successfully navigate it back to more kind of standard holding either side. Like both sides are just sitting back on the high ground, spamming at the moment, putting stickies up both sides of this choke, neither taking too many risks as we run towards the last 10 minutes of this game.
Yeah, as later and later it goes, the more likely, obviously, overtime is lurking in the back, and if you're in a good position before that happens, you're just going to lose out so much map control all of a sudden, getting forced back into mid-fight. Don't want that to come true at all. But that just means you've further taken the risks to avoid it, and so far it feels like taking risks is just immediately getting punished. Both teams hunting down anyone that's stepping on line. It feels like pretty nicely the swarm coming through, and there it is, finally a chance working out for once. Sia getting on the medic, gets that force going quite nicely, and it looks like it happened so far deep on mid that there's just no chance they even like consider sending in a counter bomb themselves. There's a universe where you just throw someone in with flash maybe, but no, they're just hoping for everyone together to get the force out on mid instead, most likely. But it really has to do that, because if you don't force now, then you're just going to be probably stuck on last sooner than later.
Yeah, unfortunate scenario for Alien Workshop. They were trying to make the plays happen, they were trying to make some pressure through IT, but didn't reset back to a one-up position, and now they're having to deal with the opponents just muscling in through the choke point. They've baited out the soldier bombs. They've been able to take it in for free. Nico is going in deep as well. It's landing on top of Lucky, pops him up in the air. Lucky will live for now, but there's still an Uber ready to go potentially, and he's quite low himself. He's been launched in. Lek isn't able to be caught by the Uber. Unforgiven is trying to use it out, and Lucky actually has an Uber of his own in that time. Unforgiven's taken out by the stickies. Just that huge combo. Walking forward with that W key, but there we go. Vanu does enough.
Wait, was Vanu still behind as well? He was trying to come in with that, but just kind of stuck in the crossfire now. Just has to make it count. The backup suddenly is not going to happen. Bit of an awkward one there. Unfortunately, can't even trade one out. Still a good move by Vanu. Gets in there just in time. Lucky just, it looked like throwing his mouse across the room to try and like avoid anything, but there's only so much you can do against hitscan classes to dodge anything. Those bullets just hit you pretty quick anyway. Can only do so much to dodge.
Yep, they had to commit a lot of resources for it though, so the cap will go back in Alien Workshop's favour. Unforgiven a small Uber advantage, but probably not going to be enough to make anything work. We're not seeing, have we seen? Not seen many off classes at all, maybe on last I guess, but besides last I don't think we've seen one so far this map. We're already 20 minutes through, and at the moment it's any team's game to take this and put themselves further on in the bracket.
It does feel like a map 3 at this point as well. Map 1 was like very happy-go-lucky from the Basque, and unfortunately Alien Workshop just couldn't keep pace. Map 2 is a CoF game, there's no slowing down at all. It was, you know, close obviously, but CoF games just feel like that when they're going to 3-2 as well, I suppose. But now it's just a lot more slowing down than Map 1. Obviously the Alien Workshop looks a lot better on 5CP this map than they did on Snakewater, so that's obviously a big contributor, I suppose, as well. But in the end, you can just kind of feel tension, and you can feel both sides really don't want to mess up anymore, especially this late into the map as well. Everyone's just thinking through the plays a lot more all of a sudden, and we don't have Basque just going in of like one player down or something like that. It's just a lot more careful about all of it as well. It doesn't have it also stuck in the back control wise, but Sia still taking a chance, and this time around, every time I'm talking about the game slowing down, Sia is just making me shut up, because again, gets the force out of nowhere, and much like me, it looks like Alien Workshop is not expecting these to come through at all. Not respecting it maybe either, and just utterly caught by surprise.
Yeah, they've got no soldiers, but they do still have an Uber ready to go. And actually, Unforgiven's force really, really far back. He was 80 health when he forced out to that. It was just the threat of Kazuki in his face forces him to pop. Iggy's launched miles in the air on quite low health himself, but Osvaldo and Vanu, they split, and Vanu is taken out. The recollapse here from Alien Workshop just going forward. Tavi is going to get caught. Sia's on so low health, will surely get cleaned up, but at the end of the day, I think Alien Workshop will be happy with that. Just recommitting, holding W as a unit, and allowing forward, and now they themselves have a bit of an uber advantage to work with. They're going to be, you know, pushing it only 30%, probably enough to go last, but just waiting for their spawners as well. So it's going to be slim margins, but they've got to worry about Unforgiven getting very shortly.
All of this after Sia gets them the force as well. It started so promising and backfired completely. Here's the push coming through. They can't afford the trophy, not this late into the game. Trying to force cap time, but forced to flat from point more than they would like. However, Phoenix in the meantime sneaks up behind. Brilliant damage, gets the medic. Everyone else cleaning up off it, helping it up in the background as well. And in the midst of this, the Heavy is trying to get out of spawn. The Demo is so weak as well. They're trying their best to fight back, but they're just having to run to point anyway. And at that point, you don't have much of a choice. And Alien Workshop cleans it up. Really good damage to get into this last push going, especially compared to the last few attempts. And this time around, it will all work together. 5.5 minutes left. That's all that separates them from, you know, defending the third seed, making it to losers finals tomorrow. But still has to just be another 5 minutes where they do not choke on the line. And I have seen these guys choke on the line quite a few times this season.
Yeah, definitely off the table for them, but we've seen some good committed aggression so far. But it's going to be the aggression coming out of the bus group on this mid, but the collapse is in. Kazuki and Phoenix both land on top of that combo in that corner, take them all out. Osvaldo, the lone survivor against two soldiers so high in the air, will eventually crater, but actually Kazuki and Phoenix just perfectly in tandem are going to win that mid fight.
Yeah, immediately a shift in the game. So slow for the last few minutes leading up to this, but now there's much more reason for the Basque to take a chance. Never really forced to take initiative on aggressive mid-fight last map after like a couple of minutes, I suppose, on Snakewater, right? But now they have to take the chances going right away. Very aggressive mid-fight, but it's not quite working out as intended. Close fight maybe, and sure they got the medic, but they need much more than that to turn this back around. Something's gotta happen quick to bring back map 3 and get themselves one step further into playoffs. Otherwise, Alien Workshop is just going to run away with this. And suddenly, playing slow is just going to benefit them a lot more. Round timer, map timer, basically lined up to the point that the way we've seen them peak forward a second ago on like Sewer and stuff like this, I don't even know if they're even going to try that anymore. This is full pressure on the Busker now.
Unforgiven did get a much better spawn and was able to build up his Uber much
no.
faster there, but they're not making a move with it. They're allowing Lucky to build. They had a good 15 seconds where they could have made it work, but looks like they're going to settle down and rely on the Frenchman.
Yeah, Nico's back on his bullshit. If it wasn't for the fact that they're actually trying really hard to win in Division 1, I'm sure we would have seen a lot more off-classing from multiple of these individuals already, but I guess desperate times call for desperate measures. Something's gonna happen. They need this advantage stat. And we don't want to rely on Sia bombs until the end of the game. We want to get something quick, and we got so close, but it's just not happening. Everyone's looking back just in time. Staring Nico dead in his eyes. Not allowing that to happen. It's not going to be that easy. But that also means it just was a lot of time. They had 5 minutes going into the round, and 2 of those are gone already.
been a long game, but no break in concentration. And
fucking the whole...
Phoenix
No, he
goes
gets
in.
punished!
Oh my god, it's going to be a drop. It's going to be a crater from Unforgiven. Almost surfing too well, surfing onto the low ground. Goes down, and already you can see everyone just fighting it back, going nice and deep from Alien Workshop, lobbing up around Lucky. He has to flash a lot of plays, they're all quite low, there's a lot of damage coming into them from Nico and Sia, but he does do a great job there, saving all his plays with that Uber, and they still have control in the mid-fight. Sia is in behind, but they won't have to worry too much about him.
Well, that's what they want you to think. What if that's all it comes down to, I guess. You never know for sure, but Sia would have to go mental right now to get this game going, turn this around, and, you know, get them at least the overtime they are hoping for currently. There's the plays coming forward as well. Everyone's trying to block this point, or this attempt to get into second, rather, to get in here. And the damage is pretty good for the Red Team. Sia coming up on the medics right on top of Lucky. Clean up onto the scout. Already got a couple of kills, maybe trading those out, but with the clutch factor of the player behind, maybe they had to worry a lot more than you were leading up to the whole situation up here. And there you go, Kazuki's last attempt will not go through, and there is a chance.
Yeah, that's alright. That's Unforgiven coming up to 80% Uber by the time Lucky spawns. Big advantage. Tavi is already in position. He might get caught here. Don't know if they'll think about... Oh, yeah, they had to think about using or not, but no, absolutely perfectly judged there by Osvaldo. Just taking the chance, pressuring the demo, pushing him back, but not using the Uber. And they still have 100% ready to go for this last push.
I hate to be like that, but I also love to be like this. And I have seen Alien Workshop lose these. However, Nico going down into the fight sounds really good, but what's the block? Osvaldo taking down so late. It wasn't even the block that happened, just the damage by the heavy. Finally taking the guy on point down. It's not enough on this one, and that's really bad news, because any second longer this takes, Lucky will just have advantage going into what will inevitably be the last engagement of Basku just running into the point. There's not going to be a push out, most likely. They're just having to hold for a little bit longer and then just get this over the line and get to losers finals.
Yeah, it's tough. There's only 45 seconds left. Enough time for Unforgiven to build up an Uber for a trade, but probably not enough time for them to trade and recommit.
Oh, this is Spy again? We're dreaming really big. If this is supposed to do anything in time as well. And they have to like push instantly of this, and it's taking so long to get in position too. Not stepping forward actually helps a little bit in some ways, but this does not. Everyone's speaking forward, they're just dying already. The sap only comes in now, and what does that help? But no one can make a play of it. They're sending the Uber anyway, but we're just using to this. You see the Spy, you know what's happening. Gotta hope for the best here anyway in red. They're running in against the gun, but who's dealing the damage? There's no soldier in the fight anymore, and no double man to be found either. Get Phoenix there, one last touch after about 3 seconds. They have to teleport on point and telefract them all, and that's just not going to happen. As Alien Workshop clushes it out just barely to go into losers finals.
Yeah, they persevered. They looked shocking on that first map, but come through at the end of the day, and good stuff from them. They'll be back tomorrow, same kind of time to play in that lower bracket final game. We've got more games coming up later tonight. It's going to be casted, right?
Probably.
I
hope.
Maybe.
The grand finals will be. I can promise that much. Losers finals. I'm working on a chat. If you are last one know how to produce TF2, message me right now. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm seeing a lot of casters in the chat, so as long as we have a producer, hopefully there's enough.
I see a lot of people that certainly know what they're talking about in chat, so that's all that counts.
But yeah, it was a fun game. It was close stuff, just about clutched out by Alien Workshop, and be interested to see if they're going to go forward with this roster tomorrow, or if we're going to see those players.
Yeah, it sounded in the Twitch chat that it was just a bit of an time unavailability issue. I guess at the same time tomorrow, maybe that does not allow for the same situation again. Who knows? It's going to be an interesting one for sure. I mean, this made it work just barely. Maybe full lineup tomorrow is going to be just swing into the game a little bit more ready than they were looking map 1, I guess. It was a bit of a scary one to see it first of all in the game, but I mean, brought it back all the way. Made it work either way. I guess we're not going to track this one out too much longer, otherwise our producer's gonna starve sitting here and then the stream's never going offline. We're getting banned for dying on stream, so let's not do that. We're just gonna mention real fast that we have one more game tonight at 21 in an hour and a half or so, we'll have Vamkov Boogie against Trusted Pros. The same division, it's Div 1 playoffs continuing. It's the winners finals. Winner of that goes to Grants. Loser of that is going to play who we just saw win Alien Workshop, waiting for them. Whoever does not make it out of Game Superior to get a shot at Grants themselves. All of that happening tomorrow. Like I said, one more game tonight, and we'll catch you then.